2025 was a year of looking up and finding things we never expected. We investigated the secret missions to the moon, the bizarre spheres found in the deep reaches of space, and evidence that we might not be as alone as we think. Today, we are looking back at the biggest discoveries, the strangest anomalies, and the most mind-bending theories we explored last year. Fasten your seatbelts. We are revisiting the furthest reaches of space. Oumuamua, Return of the Alien Spycraft. October 2017, the invasion began. Not with fleets or fire, but with a single silent messenger from the interstellar deep. Oumuamua. The mysterious cigar-shaped object appeared on a collision course with our cozy little solar system and sent scientists into a frenzy. Remember that? Astronomers went nuts when the galactic rando drifted into our solar system, waved, and then yeeted itself out at 85,700 miles per hour. Scientists called it a visitor, but the truth is they weren't sure what it was. Some said space rock, others said alien probe. Nobody knows. Seriously, the thing didn't even stick around long enough for a proper photo. By the time scientists realized it was an interstellar object, meaning it came from beyond the Milky Way, it was already halfway out of our solar system, like it forgot its X-lift year. That's not the only weird part about it either. Oumuamua didn't behave like your average space rock. It sped up after flying past the sun like someone put all the power into the thrusters. Most comets shoot out gas and dust, showing off like a glitter canyon. But this so-called rock displayed no evidence of being a comet. It was just zooming by like it had somewhere important to be, like it left the Avedon back home in Alpha Centauri. But is this really the last we'll see of Oumuamua? There is a possibility it's coming back for round 2. Let me introduce you to Avi Loeb, Harvard astrophysicist and professional alien enthusiast, who looked at this weird rock and declared, "It's a spaceship." Avi Loeb argued that the object behaved like a piece of alien technology, possibly a vehicle powered by a theoretical technology called a solar sail. A solar sail could presumably suck energy from stars to power a spaceship indefinitely. Avi even suggested it could be a fragment of a Dyson Sphere, a hypothetical megastructure built to collect energy from the star like a sci-fi solar panel. Avi said one may have exploded, sending this chunk of debris all the way to Earth, or at least close to Earth. Meanwhile, other scientists like Karen Meech at the University of Hawaii were like, chill everybody, it's probably a weird comet. Let's not slap made by aliens on everything we don't understand, okay? Okay, Karen. Remember, this was in 2017, and now the object is far away. But that hasn't stopped several groups of scientists from trying to figure out a way to catch up with it and study it. There are a variety of proposals on the table right now to rendezvous with Oumuamua in the next few decades. Or, if that proves impossible, they have plans to intercept the next interstellar object that makes a close call with home. One proposed mission is Project Lyra. A team of engineers, astronomers, and a few caffeine-fueled space nerds came up with flight plans that could reach Oumuamua in 22 to 31 years. All they need is precise timing, next-gen propulsion, and for nothing to explode, and millions and millions of dollars in funding. So let's see how that goes. The ability to detect and study future interstellar visitors early is crucial, and the upcoming Vera C. Rubin Observatory will play a key role in this endeavor. This beast of a telescope, 3,200 megapixels of pure sky-stalking energy, is almost online and will scan the entire southern hemisphere every few nights. It's expected to spot dozens of Oumuamua-style weirdos every year. Anyway, scientists better hurry up. NASA said we are going to be obliterated by an asteroid in 2032, so I guess it's time to update planet Earth's will. The asteroid of the apocalypse. How big does an asteroid need to be to wipe out everyone on Earth? Any guesses? In 2032, an asteroid about the size of a soccer field could crash right into us. And even though it's only 300 feet wide, it could usher in the age of the apocalypse. I hope your schedule is clear because NASA just RSVP'd you to a gate-crashing Earth event at 2 p.m. Universal Time on December 22nd, 2032. Right before Christmas, a mysterious rock is plotting to hit us. Because why not throw the end of the world into the mix with holiday shopping and awkward family dinners? And no, you can't avoid this event. It's going to be global. First spotted on December 27th, 2024, this floating nugget of doom has a 1.2% chance of turning Earth into its personal piñata. Small chance, sure, but it's still higher than your odds of finding a parking spot at Costco on a Saturday. Now, before you panic buy a bunker and 4,000 cans of beans, let's keep things in perspective. Experts say it's more likely to swan dive into the ocean than land in your backyard, but only because your backyard is small and the ocean is huge, so the odds are in your favor. Still, if it does hit land, it will cause a blast roughly 1,000 times stronger than the nuclear bomb that blew up Hiroshima. So yeah, maybe keep your weekend flexible. Jonathan O'Callaghan, award-winning science journalist, said this asteroid could pack the punch of a city-evaporating nuclear bomb. While physicist Shyam Balaji from King's College London said if it hits a populated area, the destruction would be massive. It could be similar to the 1908 Tunguska event in Russia. An asteroid didn't hit the surface, but rather exploded in the air and flattened 500,000 acres of forest. Imagine that, but instead of trees, it's Starbucks and apartment complexes. Even if this thing explodes in the atmosphere like in 1908, it will be devastating. There is no scenario in which this thing enters our orbit and doesn't do some serious damage. So, how scared should you be? NASA slapped this space menace with a 3 on the Torino scale, which sounds like a ski slope rating, but is actually an asteroid danger meter. It goes from 0, which is chill out and have a Mai Tai, to 10, which is tuck your head between your legs and pray for a swift end. The only good news is that most asteroids that start out sketchy end up being no big deal once astronomers stare at them long enough through their telescopes. The closer these dangerous rocks get to Earth, the more unlikely the whole apocalypse situation becomes. We just won't know until 2032. Mark your calendars, my friends. And now for a quick break, because it's shout-out time. I want to give a big thank you to Mike Weber and Christy Gibson-Cormer for supporting this channel. We wouldn't be here without you guys. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already to join the Origins Explained family. Asteroid mining gone wrong. You know how in sci-fi movies there are always people mining asteroids? It is big business in the sci-fi universe. But when do you think humans in real life start sending mining expeditions to suck up minerals from space rocks? Could it take another 100 years, maybe 500 years? Or is it happening right now? While everyone has been busy focusing on politics these last few months, scientists have been breaking ground in space. A starry-eyed space startup company named Astroforge sent a washing machine-sized spacecraft named Odin into the void. Its job was to scout space rocks like a real estate agent eyeing a fixer-upper in deep space. In March, Astroforge launched what it called the first ever commercial deep space mission. The goal was to cruise out millions of miles and inspect an asteroid that could, if the stars aligned, be full of precious metals. The spacecraft hitched a ride on a SpaceX rocket alongside another lander headed for the moon. Odin, packed with instruments and ambition, was ready to roll. It was going to make contact with the space rock that would, hopefully on the next mission, be mined by autonomous robots. Yeah, the future is now. We are entering science fiction territory in real life. This is crazy. Only things didn't go as well as they should have. Within hours of launch, Astroforge realized something was off. They couldn't talk to Odin. No data, no response. The probe was totally silent. Founder Matt Gialich posted an update that basically said, "We're trying. We're really trying, but Odin isn't texting back and we're starting to worry." Turns out Odin's antennas were misaligned. The polarization was wrong, and the spaceship was essentially yelling into the void while Earth was listening on a totally different channel. To make things worse, the spacecraft might be tumbling, slowly, like a drunk uncle at a wedding trying to find his seat again. The last signal from Odin came 20 hours after liftoff. It's currently over 186,000 miles away, and the team has no way of communicating with it. The whole operation is a bust. But to their credit, Astroforge is already planning their next mission, codenamed Vestri. The scientific team is hell-bent on reaching an asteroid and kicking off the asteroid mining business. It's the sci-fi dream. Harvest platinum, gold, and other rare earth metals using robots, and then bring the goodies back to Earth. The market potential is in the trillions, maybe even the bajillions. Companies have tried and failed at this for years, but Astroforge is out there doing its best. Instead of asteroids hitting Earth and blowing us up, miners could drain them of their gold and then kick them off back into space. Do you think asteroid mining could be the next boom, like the next industrial revolution? Earth's million-mile text message. Somewhere between Mars and Jupiter in the vast, yawning expanse of space, a robotic spacecraft named Psyche just pulled off the impossible. It picked up a message from 10 million miles away. The message came from Earth, but it was no typical text. It was a laser message. For those of you not up to date on your cosmic distances, 10 million miles is about 40 times the distance between Earth and the Moon. It's really far away. Even so, the robotic spacecraft managed to pick up a message from scientists on Earth. Okay, I can't even get cell service in the mountains, but NASA can send texts 40 times farther than the Moon? What the heck is going on with our cell phone providers? Get a grip, AT&T and Verizon. The science here is really exciting. This wasn't a flashy light show to impress the aliens. It was a crucial demo from NASA's Deep Space Optical Communications System, a sort of intergalactic Wi-Fi. For decades, NASA has been using radio waves to chat with their spacecraft, but it's slower than molasses on a January morning. It's kind of like trying to stream Netflix using dial-up. Functional, but very 1997. So NASA decided to level up their comm skills. Now they are using infrared lasers to send messages across deep space, like a giant interplanetary laser pointer that speaks Morse code. And in November of 2023, it worked. The Psyche spacecraft not only picked up the laser message from Earth, but it sent a laser back to make contact with Earth via the Hale telescope at Palomar Observatory in California. The experiment was a huge success. But why lasers? I'm glad you asked. Lasers, specifically near-infrared ones, offer more bandwidth, faster data speeds, and a beam that stays tighter as it stretches into space. They are harder to intercept, more energy efficient, and can send high-definition video from Mars to Earth. This is a huge leap toward NASA's ultimate goal of world domination. Kidding. Their goal is to let astronauts on Mars live stream their spacewalks with less lag than your last Zoom call. Astronauts on Mars are about to have a better internet connection than most people on Earth. Trudy Cortes, Director of Technology Demonstrations at NASA, said this milestone is paving the way for streaming video in support of humanity's next giant leap. It's going to be hard to discredit the 1969 moon landing once astronauts are live streaming TikTok dances from the red planet's surface. The day contact is made. You've seen the movies. Aliens land on Earth and the US military blows them up, kicking off a war humans can't possibly win. But what would really happen if aliens contacted Earth? I have this step-by-step play for you straight from the mouth of a former NASA expert. Sylvester Kazmarek recently broke down the course of events after aliens made the first move by saying hi. It's way less Independence Day and way more group chat panic between scientists and politicians. On day one, right after aliens sent the first sup to humans, scientists would be going crazy double-checking all their instruments. The first thought would be that it wasn't aliens, but something like a passing satellite, some rogue radio static, or someone reheating a burrito in the observatory's kitchen. The burrito thing actually happened, so that's why they always double-check. If the FAST telescope in China, the VLA in New Mexico, or the Parkes telescope in Australia picks up a signal that looks extraterrestrial, they'll spend weeks to months checking and double-checking that it's not just a badly timed hot pocket. Kazmarek says the signal would need to show multiple layers of confirmation and do weird things that no natural or human-made source can do, like communicate coherently or not sound like a dying fax machine. Once the signal gets the green light and isn't just the world's most expensive prank call, it's go time. Kazmarek says space agencies, militaries, and politicians would all jump in immediately. There would be press releases, hushed briefings, 24/7 news panic, and the UN might try to step in and handle it. But the diplomatic chaos would be too overwhelming. Once the world knows that aliens have made contact, scientists would scramble to protect the signal frequency. The UN would try to agree on something to say back to the aliens, but because so many nations have their own space programs, everyone would be bombarding them with their own texts. Every Dale Gribble would be in their basement trying to send their own messages to the aliens. It would be nuts. In official rooms, governments and scientists would need to figure out what the signal says, where it came from, if we should even respond, and if yes, what we should say. What would you reply to an alien message? SETI senior astronomer Seth Shostak has a bet riding on when aliens will contact Earth. He's confident that our amazing little planet will hear from intelligent aliens by 2036. Not because of blind hope, but because our telescopes and computers are getting better. Seth is an astronomer genius, and he's seen the way technology is improving. If he thinks we'll have the tech to text aliens in 10 years, you might want to believe him. The God of Chaos Asteroid. Mark your calendars for Friday the 13th, April 2029. Mark them and get your backyard telescope out of the garage. On that day, after Jason goes back to sleep in Crystal Lake, a monster of an asteroid will brush past Earth like a nosy neighbor getting a little too close to your hedges. Not to worry though, NASA and the European Space Agency triple-checked and said it won't hit us, probably. It most likely will narrowly avoid us. But hey, scientists have been wrong before. And anyway, if they knew we were about to be demolished, they probably wouldn't tell us. You know, panic and all that. The asteroid has the coolest name of any asteroid ever. I'm so bored with scientists naming things in space like B41.1 or something. This time, they went all in and named the space rock Apophis after a giant mythical death snake. Apophis is the ancient Egyptian god of chaos and destruction. That's a name I can get behind. Even cooler is that the European Space Agency is planning to send a spacecraft called Ramses, as in the Egyptian pharaoh, to rendezvous with Apophis. The Ramses mission is now in development. If all goes well, and let's hope it does, Ramses will launch and rendezvous with Apophis 2 months before its flyby or impact in 2029. Its job is to tail the asteroid, take notes, and report back like a very anxious hall monitor. Now, let's say the scientists are wrong and Apophis does hit Earth. It would be disastrous. You know how scientists are always comparing impacts to nuclear bombs? Well, Apophis would release the energy of about 100 nukes all at once. It would destroy everything for hundreds of miles and permanently ruin everyone's weekend. NASA says it's going to miss us by about 19,794 miles. That's just 1/12 of the distance to the moon. But in space terms, that's an uncomfortably close shave. Apophis will be so close to hitting us that you'll be able to see it with your naked eye. Wow, that's both cool and horrifying at the same time, like seeing a crocodile in your swimming pool. Are you scared yet? Target: Moon. Remember a few months back when asteroid 2024 YR4 buzzed pretty close to Earth? Well, it looks like this space rock isn't quite done with its cosmic tour just yet. Scientists are now tracking it again, and this time it's headed in the general direction of our good old moon. Now, when it zipped past Earth, there was a small chance, around 3.1%, of a collision. That might not sound like much, but when you're talking about a skyscraper-sized chunk of rock hurtling through space, even those small odds get astronomers' attention. This time around, the numbers have shifted a little. There is now about a 3.8% chance that 2024 YR4 might actually bump into the moon. Yeah, the moon. Our poetic, cheese-filled nightlight. NASA's been keeping an eye on this, and they've pointed out that there is still a pretty high chance, 96.2%, that it will miss the moon entirely, which, you know, is good news. Just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with, the James Webb Telescope actually managed to get a good look at this asteroid. Turns out it's over 210 feet tall. That's roughly the size of a 15-story building, or about 5 T-Rexes stacked in a trench coat. And get this, it's the smallest thing that the Webb telescope has ever spotted. Pretty wild, huh? Now, if it does hit the moon, what happens? Well, it would definitely leave a mark, probably a new crater. It would also kick up a bunch of dust and rocky bits. You might have heard some pretty dramatic stuff about an asteroid hitting the moon and sending it crashing into Earth, but that's really not how things work in space. The moon is held in its orbit by Earth's gravity, and it's incredibly massive. A hit from an asteroid this size just wouldn't have enough oomph to knock it off course like that. Think of it this way. The moon is like a giant bowling ball, and this asteroid is more like a pebble. If you throw a pebble at a bowling ball, it might scratch it, but it's not going to send the bowling ball flying across the room. The moon is way, way bigger than the asteroid that's thought to have wiped out the dinosaurs, like 290 times more massive. So the idea of it suddenly falling out of the sky? Not really a concern. So while scientists are keeping an eye on 2024's YR4's lunar rendezvous, it's more of an interesting astronomical event than a doomsday scenario for us here on Earth. They'll keep tracking it and refining their predictions as it gets closer. It's all part of understanding the neighborhood we live in out here in space. The Valentine's Day disaster. What happens when love meets a giant space rock? Total annihilation. On Valentine's Day, as you clutch a heart-shaped box of chocolates and your date stares distractedly at their phone, kablam! A 150-foot wide asteroid crashes your dinner plans like the universe's worst third wheel. This could be your future. It could be you on Valentine's Day 2046. If the 2032 asteroid doesn't get us, asteroid 2023 DW just might. Scientists at NASA and the European Space Agency have been monitoring this asteroid. It's even number 1 right now on the list of potential risks to our planet. The odds of 2023 DW hitting Earth are about 1 in 607, according to the ESA. It doesn't seem good, but it also could be worse, I guess. Scientists estimate the asteroid is roughly the size of an Olympic swimming pool, so it will pack quite a punch. But it won't send us back to the Stone Age. And if it misses completely, don't worry, it will try again. This stubborn asteroid is expected to circle back to ruin future Valentine's Days in 2047, 48, 49, 50, and 51. That's a lot of tries to hit Earth. You don't even get that many tries at ring toss at the carnival. This hulking rock is like your ex who never learned how to let go. It's going to come back and back, knocking on Earth's door until it finally hits it. Hypothetically, if this thing did land, where would it go? Astronomer Piero Ciccoli mapped out some possible impact zones based on current data. The rock could hit anywhere from the Indian Ocean to just off the US East Coast. This means pretty much everyone is safe except for Florida. Just kidding. Pretty much no one is safe. Planet Nibiru, the ender of worlds. It would be one thing for our world to be destroyed by a rogue asteroid, but what if we were blown to bits by a planet that isn't even supposed to exist? In 2017, the mysterious planet Nibiru was supposed to smash into Earth and kill everybody on September 23rd, but it didn't. Now conspiracy theorists and internet doomsday prophets are saying it's coming back. They don't know when, but they say it will cause the apocalypse. But according to scientists, Nibiru isn't even real. Let me go back a bit. Nibiru, aka Planet X, first wandered into human imagination in 1976, when author Zecharia Sitchin self-published The 12th Planet. It's a book based on his very personal translation of ancient Sumerian texts. Zecharia claims that Nibiru orbits the sun every 3,600 years and is home to a race of ancient aliens called the Anunnaki. I'm sure you've heard of them. A less famous believer in Nibiru is Nancy Leider, a self-declared psychic. Nancy said aliens had warned her that Nibiru would crash into Earth in 2003. When that didn't happen, the date was bumped to 2012 and linked to the end of the Maya calendar, which many believe has connections to the Anunnaki. But then, nothing happened. Nibiru made no appearance, and the world is still turning. NASA has had to deny Nibiru's existence many times. In 2012, NASA said, "If Nibiru were real and heading for Earth, we'd see it by now. You'd see it with your own eyes, like in the sky. We're not hiding planets behind the moon." Astronomer David Morrison from NASA pointed out that with thousands of professional and amateur astronomers around the world, most of whom aren't on the government payroll, there is no possible way a giant death planet could sneak up on us like a cosmic ninja. If Nibiru were real, it would be brighter than Mars in the night sky and all over Instagram by now. But nothing NASA can say will ever dispel the myth of Nibiru or the Anunnaki. In 2017, Christian numerologist David Meade claimed Nibiru would hit Earth on September 23rd. When that didn't pan out, he said, "The world as we know it is ending," but he couldn't come up with another date. To be fair, there is a real mystery planet floating around out there called Planet 9, and it's been confusing the issue. Scientists like Mike Brown, Konstantin Batygin, and others have been hunting for this hypothetical giant planet out beyond Neptune. It's about 10 times Earth's mass, possibly 600 times farther from the sun than we are, and it's been blamed for weird orbital patterns and other space objects. Conspiracy theorists believe Planet 9 is Planet Nibiru, home of the Anunnaki. but they say the Anunnaki are purposely hiding their planet way beyond where human telescopes can see. They're hiding behind something like Bugs Bunny hiding behind a bush, making them invisible to us. Scientists only know the mystery planet is there because it's altering the orbits of large objects near it. It's there, but no one can see it. It's also too far away to hit Earth like a galactic bowling ball. It's just minding its business in the frigid outer solar system. If it exists, it's millions of miles away and is not a doomsday machine. As you can tell, the whole situation is confusing. Ghost planet? Yes. Ghost planet hits Earth? Not so much. Big Bad Bennu. Heads up, Earthlings. There is a cosmic boulder the size of a small mountain with our planet's name on it. Maybe. Meet Bennu, an asteroid roughly a third of a mile wide, made of loosely packed rubble and floating through space like a cosmic trash ball. And it's thinking about smashing into us. Bennu is such a concern that NASA sent their OSIRIS-REx spacecraft on an interception course to visit in 2018. OSIRIS reached its target in 2020 and did a quick smash and grab. What I mean is that the ship hit the rock, scooped up a bit of dirt, and then hauled that space dust back to Earth. Pretty cool, right? Most people don't realize how many space missions are going on these days. Bennu isn't the most dangerous guy in our neighborhood. Out of all the big rocks I told you about today, Bennu's probability of contacting Earth is on the seriously low side. Scientists give it a 1 in 2,700 chance of slamming into Earth in the year 2182. That is a 0.037% chance. The same odds as finding a working pen when you actually need one. Still, scientists, being scientists, ran simulations anyway to see what the damage would be if those odds increased. You know, just in case Bennu decides to ruin your great-great-grandkid's 10th birthday party. After all, it won't hit us. I won't be alive in 2182, and neither will you, unless we both become cyborgs. Bennu won't possibly hit Earth for another century and a half. If Bennu does hit us, it wouldn't wipe out life completely, but it would mess up the global vibe. It would be less total extinction and more planet-wide existential crisis. Upon impact, Bennu would kick 400 million tons of dust into the atmosphere. This would be like a supervolcano erupting and throwing ash into the atmosphere. It would block out the sun and global temperatures would drop by around 7 degrees Fahrenheit. It doesn't sound like much until your crops die, your power grid shivers to death, and winter overstays its welcome. So the world is dark, cold, and nobody has any food. Bennu's impact would also decrease rainfall by 15%, leading to fewer plants. Earth would turn into a hostile, dusty camping trip where you forgot your food, water, and sunscreen. Every biological creature on the planet would be struggling just to survive. Except, surprisingly, ocean plankton. They might actually do better than ever in the case of an asteroid impact, because Bennu's asteroid dust is rich in iron. It would be like drowning the plankton in an all-you-can-eat buffet. Scientists predict plankton would bounce back in 6 months and then flourish. This means not all life would vanish on Earth, but a lot of it would. Plankton would survive and facilitate the next wave of evolution. Maybe dinosaurs would make a comeback after a few million years. Humans would very likely be reduced to a few straggling bands of survivors, but our species would probably make it through to the other side. The good news is humanity has over 150 years to get its act together. And honestly, by then, asteroids probably won't be a danger. In 2022, NASA launched DART, a mission where they body-checked an asteroid named Dimorphos to see if they could move it. And they did. NASA changed its orbit by 32 minutes. Now that's a game of cosmic billiards. NASA can already fight off asteroids. In 150 years, Earth will probably have a laser defense system. The Phobos 2 incident. Remember that time the Soviets tried to poke a Martian moon but got distracted by aliens? Let me refresh your memory. On July 12, 1988, the Soviet Union launched 2 spacecraft, Phobos 1 and Phobos 2, in a joint Mars mission whose goal was to get up close and personal with Mars' potato-shaped moonlet, Phobos. The plan was to orbit Mars, rendezvous with Phobos, land some hardware, scan for signs of water, and study solar wind. It was purely scientific, and maybe, just maybe, they would prove that Phobos wasn't just a glorified space rock, but a hollow shell housing something weirder. Because even in the 80s, conspiracy theorists believed Mars moons were hollow and that aliens were living in them. Who might argue? Unfortunately for the Soviets, only one of their spacecraft made it. The other got destroyed by a typo. Yeah, a typo. Phobos 1 died because someone uploaded the wrong command and shut it down permanently. It was a $200 million lesson in proofreading. By contrast, Phobos 2 actually reached Mars, slipped into orbit, aligned itself with the Martian moon, and then got weird. Phobos 2 started acting like it had seen a ghost. A 15-mile-long ghost that was possibly armed. Spoiler alert, it may have encountered real Martians. All seemed well enough at mission control until March 27, 1989, and that was when Phobos 2 sent back the final data transmission and then went completely silent. Soviet news agency TASS reported vague communication problems, while scientists at mission control described the spacecraft as unresponsive. But behind the scenes, officials at Glavkosmos, the Soviet space agency, were already whispering that Phobos 2 was lost for good. You'd think they would have made a bigger deal out of that, but no. Soviet TV rattled off the bad news like it was a footnote before pivoting to footage of successful experiments, proudly showcasing some of the last images that Phobos 2 sent back. And here's where things got really weird. Those final images sent back to Earth from Martian orbit showed something on the surface of Mars. This mysterious thing was described as an inexplicable object. Someone even described it as a thin, flat circle, whatever that means. The object, whatever it was, seemed to be parked on Mars. It had sharp edges, a strange halo, and appeared in both infrared and optical imagery. Yet no one in the Soviet Union even mentioned it, just casually ignoring the gigantic spaceship sitting on the planet like the only RV in a Walmart parking lot. The object, this mysterious thin pancake, was no blurry smudge. It was visible, definite, and unmistakably not part of the Martian landscape. Dr. Jen Becklake of the Science Museum in London reviewed the footage and was perplexed, to say the least. First, there was the grid of rectangular heat patterns, about 250 square miles of infrared geometry, like someone had installed a giant space radiator. Then came the actual body of the thing, dark, smooth, and razor-edged. Whatever this was, scientists agreed it was not a natural formation, and on closer inspection, it was clearly not on the planet's surface. This something was between the spacecraft and Mars, meaning it was flying. It was a real UFO, and the first known UFO sighting from the orbit of an alien world. It was a reverse UFO sighting. Most people see UFOs from their backyard, looking up into the sky. Phobos 2 saw a UFO that looked to be hovering in Mars' atmosphere, just like a UFO would on Earth. But Phobos took a picture of it from above, not below, and that's unheard of. Then came the sudden death spiral. Just as Phobos 2 looked like it might be making first contact, it died. According to mission telemetry, Phobos 2 started to spin. One controller describes it as tracking a spinner, meaning the spacecraft was acting like it had been hit by something. It was like a helicopter that's hovering normally and then gets hit with a rocket. It starts to spin and it crashes. That same sort of thing happened to Phobos 2. And just to add whipped cream to the paranoia sundae, a weak signal was received hours after Phobos 2 was smacked down like a fly hit by a swatter. The signal was sent after the antenna had supposedly failed and couldn't even point toward Earth anymore. What the heck was this ghost signal? Was it a final gasp from a dying probe, or was it proof that something on Mars briefly sent out a signal, perhaps forgetting to mask it? One thing was for sure, it was a signal not meant for anyone on Earth. Pressed by European collaborators, the Soviets finally released most of Phobos 2's final images after the disaster, but not all of them. The very last few frames, snapped seconds before the spacecraft went dark, were never made public. And if that doesn't give you the chills, did you even watch The X-Files? According to one Soviet official who leaked info about the final few frames, they showed an odd-shaped object between the spacecraft and Mars. Something besides the spacecraft and the planet's surface, like something being beamed up, or like a smaller shuttlecraft used to reach the surface heading back to the mothership. Sounds cool, right? Sounds like something everyone on Earth should probably know. Well, NASA didn't think so. The National Space Agency and most Western scientists shrugged like the image didn't show an alien vessel. Probably a computer glitch, they said. Probably dust. And definitely not a 15-mile-long shadow spaceship ambushing an interplanetary visitor like a galactic bouncer. When the science journal Nature published a long technical report on the incident, only 3 paragraphs covered the spacecraft's loss. And although the journal admitted it looked like something hit Phobos too, they didn't mention aliens at all, obviously. Everyone shrugged and said, probably just a meteorite. Oh, that spaceship, it's just a shadow. Why don't you look over here at this shiny coin? And everyone went, ooh, a shiny coin, and that was the end of the mystery. Or so it seemed. The case was officially closed and the world moved on. But to truly understand the weirdness of the Phobos 2 incident, we have to go back in time. The hollow moon hypothesis. Decades before the Phobos 1 and 2 probes in the 1960s, Soviet physicist Joseph Shklovsky suggested that Phobos might be hollow. Why? Because it was speeding up in orbit, which didn't make sense unless it had far less mass than expected. The math seemed to suggest that Mars' moon was nothing but an empty husk, a hollowed-out shell possibly containing an alien base. Then came the grooves. Phobos has long, straight trenches between 700 and 1,000 feet wide and about 80 feet deep. These trenches run in parallel lines. Some seem to emanate from a perfectly round crater that looks suspiciously artificial, almost like the lid on a buried bunker. When Soviet probes compared the grooves they found to older images of grooves taken by Mariner 9 and Viking, they discovered something shocking. Okay, here's what they found. Some grooves were new, fresh, as in recently made. Sort of like when someone opens up a gate that drags across the ground and leaves fresh grooves in the dirt. And you know the thing about grooves, right? They don't just show up on airless, lifeless moons, not without something driving heavy equipment around, or maybe opening secret moon bunkers. So here's the theory. Phobos isn't just an asteroid that got caught in Mars' orbit and earned itself the title of moon. It may be an ancient base, a hollowed-out satellite installed in orbit for surveillance or logistics. Or, whatever counts as a neighborhood watch in space. And when Earth's top mind sent a multinational probe to snoop around, it was instantly destroyed. Someone or something swatted Phobos 2 like it was a drone spying on them in their own backyard. What do you think happened? Did you know this story already? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And now for a mission NASA doesn't want to talk about. But first, I want to give a big shout out to Nox Diablo and Rabbit Hole for supporting this channel. We wouldn't be here without you guys. The manned Mars mission that NASA doesn't want to talk about. What do you get when you cross Buzz Aldrin, Cold War paranoia, and a rocket bound for Mars? You get a classified headache. While the world was still catching its breath from the moon landing, still marveling at those grainy lunar boot prints and Neil Armstrong's one small step, NASA was allegedly busy swapping its lunar ambitions for something redder, riskier, and far more radioactive. According to wild rumors, unfounded speculation, and every conspiracy channel on the internet, NASA launched Operation Red Sun after the moon landing. It was, supposedly, a secret Cold War-era mission to land humans on Mars. But there's very little proof it happened, just a shred of alleged evidence. And I'm going to take you through it right now, because the claim is bold. The evidence is murky, and the theories are spicy enough to make a Martian jalapeno sweat. According to a mix of whistleblowers, leaky footage, and UFO researchers with Italian press passes, Project Red Sun was real. It was a covert collaboration between NASA, the US Department of Defense, and possibly even the USSR. Because nothing says Cold War quite like, hey comrade, let's build a base on another planet together. The official story goes like this. Mariner 4 was the first spacecraft to fly by Mars, launching in 1964 and snapping the first close-up photos of the red planet surface in 1965. Those images instantly crushed humanity's romantic ideas about Martian civilizations. Everyone was holding their breath waiting for these photos. But then they revealed no canals, no cities, no little green realtors offering condos on Olympus Mons, just craters. Lots of craters, and a whole lot of red dirt. Then came Mariner 9 in 1971. This one didn't just fly by Mars, it orbited. and suddenly Mars looked a whole lot weirder. Mariner 9 beamed back images of dried-up riverbeds, the 3,000-mile-long Valles Marineris Canyon system that is basically the Grand Canyon on Martian steroids, Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the solar system, and some puzzling formations that didn't quite look natural. A few of the strange formations looked a little too straight, a little too artificial. Most of the public shrugged and ate up whatever NASA said, but a small few saw those formations and thought, that is evidence of a lost Martian society. This idea of a hidden past, a civilization waiting to be discovered, was precisely what fueled the rumors of Project Red Sun. Houston, we have a secret. According to these theories, Project Red Sun was officially greenlit in August of 1973, supposedly backed jointly by NASA and the DoD, with launch control station at Cocoa Beach, Florida. However, mission control was later shifted to Area 51 because, of course it was. If you're going to do some interplanetary espionage, why not do it next to a runway for reverse-engineered alien aircraft? The roster of astronauts allegedly included Buzz Aldrin, Neil Armstrong, and Vladimir Ilyushin, the latter being a real Soviet test pilot who missed the history books and crash-landed into obscurity. The team supposedly flew aboard a craft known as ISV Columbus, ISV possibly meaning Interplanetary Space Vehicle. They allegedly landed on Mars, looked around, took a few steps for mankind, and got back on the ship to fly home. But did that really happen? Because if you ask NASA, they say no. If you ask any mainstream scientist, they say no. Even ordinary people on the street will inevitably ask, where's the proof? The only proof that Project Red Sun was real is a grainy 16mm film that leaked online showing astronauts in a spacecraft departing Earth, glimpsing Martian terrain, and zooming in on what looks like Mars' South Pole. This footage gained a little traction with the public back in the 1970s, when everything on TV already looked like a student film shot on expired film stock. Plus, the 70s were great because everyone believed that everything they saw on TV was real. Then came April 2011. Luca Scantamburlo, an Italian journalist and UFO researcher, held a press conference. He wanted to share what he'd been told by a source known only as Bravo X Sierra 24. Scantamburlo's source claimed that the Red Sun footage was real, that the mission had indeed occurred, and that the astronauts had seen something on Mars that convinced NASA to keep their findings classified. What exactly did they find? That depends on which theory you're shopping for. Some suggest a crashed alien ship, while others claim it was an abandoned base from an ancient Martian civilization. There are even rumors of a sentient AI that told the astronauts, "You're not supposed to be here." That last one is the creepiest, but alas, none of them can be confirmed. If NASA does have the records, they aren't revealing them. But to be honest, could NASA even have pulled off a covert mission like this? And why would they lie after all the attention of the moon landing? The naysayers say it's because it never happened, and this is all Cold War-flavored sci-fi wrapped in grainy video and wild speculation. The only other option is that it did happen, and the results were too alarming for public consumption. This all feels a little strange. If NASA was going to embark on a mission to Mars, it's something they probably would have announced years before it even began. It's not like they knew what they would find before they went, right? Or perhaps that's exactly why the whole mission was kept on the DL, because NASA knew what was waiting for them. NASA's big red secret. Maybe Mars wasn't dead. Maybe it was abandoned. Maybe what the astronauts found was evidence that something had once lived there. And maybe it was left behind tech or warnings or something that hissed. And maybe whatever it was, NASA knew the public could never find out. So the whole thing has been kept tightly under wraps. You've got to wonder why NASA has been sending so many probes to Mars. Is it because they are exploring and studying the planet, or is it because they've been monitoring it? Perhaps NASA has been busy trying to make sure whatever was on Mars isn't waking up, replicating, or dialing long distance. There is even the possibility that NASA found proof that humans are from Mars. Some ancient astronaut theorists, along with a growing number of scientists, suspect that Mars once hosted life. And not just microbes, but intelligent beings who either nuked themselves into extinction or fled to Earth, dragging their pyramids, deities, and architectural preferences with them. In this version of history, Project Red Sun wasn't about colonizing Mars, it was about going home. And NASA didn't want us to know because, well, that would be complicated. So, did Project Red Sun actually happen? NASA says no. Officially, there has never been a manned mission to Mars, just probes, rovers, and PowerPoint presentations. But if Red Sun did happen, it would mark one of the greatest secrets in human history. A manned voyage to another planet, buried beneath 5 decades of denials and distracted by moon rocks, shuttle launches, and space telescopes. It would also mean that Mars isn't just a frontier, it's occupied territory, and maybe even a former war zone. Men are from Mars, women are also from Mars. On February 18, 2021, NASA's most sophisticated bio-sleuth yet touched down on Mars. The Perseverance rover, a 6-wheeled mobile lab with a PhD in astrobiology, immediately began combing the Martian surface, not just for cool rocks, but for traces of life. The scientific goal of this rover is to finally determine whether or not life existed on Mars. But there's a deeper twist baked into this mission's scientific pie. What if, instead of Mars once having its own life, it gave life to us? The Martian Origin Hypothesis. Christopher Carr is a planetary scientist at Georgia Tech and a part-time biogenesis philosopher. He thinks the idea of life coming from Mars to Earth might not be such a long shot. And he's not alone. Christopher is part of a growing handful of researchers convinced that life crash-landed on Earth inside a chunk of Martian shrapnel. Perhaps an asteroid hit Mars, dislodging a piece of the planet. Then that piece hit Earth, dropping off biological hitchhikers who planted the original seeds of life billions of years ago. Carr recently outlined this idea in a paper. Much of his theory is backed up by new scientific discoveries over the last few decades. Behind closed doors, scientists have been busy mapping out huge swaths of the tree of life, showing, for instance, that humans and apes broke up about 13 million years ago. That is new information that has changed the science of evolution. Researchers have also learned that whales, bats, and people had a 3-way ancestor 65 million years ago. That's pretty crazy, don't you think? Around the same time the dinosaurs died, there was an animal that then split into 3 different groups that would ultimately evolve into whales, bats, and humans. Scientists have traced human lineage back to a single-cell organism known as Luca, or the last universal common ancestor. It lived probably 4 billion years ago in a seafloor vent. So now scientists need to know how Luca came to Earth. Or if Luca, our signal-cell grandpa, originated on Earth, how? One reason that scientists like Carr are eyeing Mars as Luca's origin is because early Earth was, ironically, too wet to be a good host. I know that's counterintuitive, but it's true. Around the time life was supposed to be evolving in cozy volcanic tide pools, Earth was Waterworld with no Kevin Costner. Researchers estimate over 98% of the surface was deep ocean. And I mean deep ocean, meaning no shallow ponds anywhere to be found. And for decades, scientists have been screaming that life originated on Earth in shallow ponds. But now, science knows that ponds on Earth were about as common as beachfront property on the moon. Mars, meanwhile, was damp but not drenched. Young Mars had an attitude problem, and also liquid water, volcanic energy, sunlight, and dry land. The best comparison might be Yellowstone, but in space. Lots of vents and heat and moisture, all of which combine to make Mars a better incubator for life than soggy, water-covered Earth. The oxidation puzzle. Then there's the amino acid mystery. All known life on Earth, from algae to zookeepers, uses the same core set of 20 amino acids to build proteins, but only about half are truly necessary. The other half aren't vital to life survival, but they crop up everywhere. So what's the point of these seemingly useless amino acids? A 2018 study proposed that many of the non-essential amino acids help cells manage oxidation, a chemical reaction in which an atom or a molecule loses electrons and increases its oxidation state. When an atom or a molecule loses electrons in oxidation, it can have dramatic effects. A perfect example is rust, which is a form of iron oxide. The key point here is that life forms on Earth use many amino acids to manage oxidation, which is strange because Earth had no free oxygen for its first 2 billion years. So why did Luca's toolkit include oxidation-friendly components? It makes no sense. It's like buying a car and the dealership gives you 4 bicycle tires. For Luca to have so many of these components, it probably didn't come from Earth. And that's exactly what Christopher Carr is saying. But you know what planet did have oxygen? Mars. Mars was the perfect breeding ground for Luca. So if Luca evolved to survive on Mars, which was basically paradise while Earth was a roasting volcanic or oceanic hell, then it means that all of life on Earth technically originated on Mars. So there you have it. We are all aliens. While you might be convinced now, not everyone is on board the Martian origins hype train. Nicholas Hudd, another scientist at Georgia Tech, called the theory a bit too dramatic. He argued that early Earth, though lacking continents, had plenty of volcanic islands where Luca could have evolved. Nicholas also said he doubts the amino acid argument is airtight. Oxidation might not be the only reason Luca included those extra amino acids. Maybe cells just wanted a bigger toolbox, or maybe humans don't actually understand early Earth as well as we think we do. The dream tool, a DNA detector for aliens. I wish I had definitive answers for you, but these are the questions that humans have been asking since the beginning of time. To explain our origins, humans across countless cultures and eons have made up incredible stories. Stories of gods, of monsters, and of beings from the stars. Christopher Carr's ultimate goal is to answer these ageless questions once and for all. How is he going to solve life's riddles? By sending a gene sequencer to Mars. Not just to find weird molecules, but to look for genetic material, either DNA or RNA, from hypothetical Martian microbes. If anything alive is lurking under the Martian surface, a gene sequencer tool could tell us if it's part of our tree of life or part of something totally different. And if it works, if humans find our microbial cousins in the Martian basement, the origin story of life itself might finally be solved. That's something worth looking forward to. Where do you stand on the origin of life? Where did we come from? Let me know your theories in the comments. The future of Mars. The 2030s are going to be nuts. Remember when the iPhone dropped in 2007? It was the same year your mom added you on Facebook, and you had a total meltdown. But with the age of the internet pretty much wrapping up, humanity is moving into a new age. One with robots, gene editing, AI, and space travel. And NASA is at the forefront, getting ready to launch humans to the surface of Mars using a giant catapult. Well, a spaceship, you know what I mean. NASA isn't just thinking about Mars anymore. They are building the guest list, booking the ride, and planning the snacks. The space agency's current roadmap calls for a manned mission to the Red Planet with 2035 as the earliest possible launch. I know it sounds far away, but not when you realize, 2015 was 10 years ago. 2035 will be here in the blink of an eye, possibly with cryo sleep pods and galactic-class starships. The trip itself is a breezy 250 million miles each way. That's 6 to 7 months out, up to 500 days on Mars, and another 7 months home. Do you want to go? Do you think you could handle it? NASA's preparing to send humans on the world's most extreme Airbnb stay, but this rental has no oxygen, no backup, and the nearest grocery store is on the moon. Project Artemis. Before anyone sends boots to Mars, NASA's making sure they know how to walk on anything without an atmosphere. And that's where Project Artemis comes in. Named after Apollo's twin sister, the goddess of the hunt, Artemis is a lunar training ground. The idea is if astronauts can survive months on the moon, they just might be ready for Mars. So why not build a moon base? Artemis 1 launched in November 2022, sending an uncrewed Orion capsule on a 1.4 million-mile test flight around the moon. It flew solo, came home safely, and proved that this space launch system wasn't just a billion-dollar firework. Next up is Artemis 2, the first crewed lunar landing since you had to smack the TV to fix the signal. That's slated for 2026, with the target being the moon's south pole. Why? Because NASA suspects there is water ice under the surface of the South Pole, and if astronauts can dig it up, melt it down, and turn it into sippable space juice, then living off Earth just got 80% more doable. Think about that for a second. Drinkable water on the moon. Humans might be able to live on the moon and drink out of its reservoirs. How amazing would that be? Even if there is no drinkable water, Artemis 2 is going to be sweet. Lunar living quarters, resource extraction trials, and months-long missions in isolation. And it's all designed to simulate what future Mars crews will endure. I can't wait. I told you before that billions of years ago, Mars was a paradise. 3.8 billion years ago, to be exact. Mars was kind of a looker. It had lakes, rivers, maybe even oceans. It had a thicker atmosphere and a climate that didn't instantly mummify your face. All of that is gone now, and scientists want to know what happened. Mars' North Pole still has frozen water under a seasonal frosting of dry ice. In summer, that carbon dioxide cap vanishes, exposing water ice underneath like some planetary game of peekaboo. But there's no liquid water today. It's all frozen. But the surface is crisscrossed with dried riverbeds, deltas, and what look like coastlines. Then there's the atmosphere to think about. Right now, it's thin, dusty, and 95% carbon dioxide. All the dust is why Mars has its signature bloody color, looking like someone wrapped the planet in a really bad filter. It's also why Martian sunsets look blue, which I bet you didn't know, but it's true. The big questions. After all these years, NASA already knows a lot about Mars thanks to rovers like Spirit, Opportunity, Curiosity, and Perseverance, all of which deserve their own reality show at this point. But rovers have limits. They can't climb cliffs, crawl into lava tubes, or make on-the-spot decisions. That's why NASA formed the Human Exploration of Mars Science Analysis Group. Their job is to decide which mysteries absolutely require a human to solve. And there are 3 goals at the top of their list. The biggest goal is finding out if life still lives on Mars. Not fossils, but microbes. The kind that live here on Earth, hundreds of feet underground, where rovers can't go. There's a very real possibility that microbes are hiding underground, snacking on iron and avoiding solar radiation like introverts at a pool party. The second biggest goal is to learn what caused Mars to dry up. Understanding that could help NASA predict what might happen to Earth in the future and possibly stop it before it's too late. The third biggest goal is to find out what Mars' early climate was like. Was it warm and wet like hurricane season, or just briefly moist before it froze into a desert time capsule? The unofficial most important thing to do is investigate Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the entire solar system. Guess how big it is? It is 3 times taller than Mount Everest, and its sheer size is so crazy it's hard to even think about. Scientists are desperate to study it, and hopefully they can pull it off in the next few decades. To do it, NASA is building its most powerful rocket ever, the Space Launch System. It's a skyscraper strapped to a thunder god, and it already passed its first test with Artemis 1. Paired with the Orion capsule, it'll eventually carry astronauts beyond low Earth orbit, something humanity hasn't done since bell-bottoms were considered formal wear. But launching is just the beginning. The Mars mission will also need deep space habitats for astronauts to live and not strangle each other. It'll need advanced propulsion systems to reach way beyond Earth's orbit to another planet. The mission will also require advanced radiation shielding because Mars doesn't have a magnetic field like Earth does, and space is basically a microwave. Last but not least, astronauts will need in-situ resource utilization systems that let astronauts make water, oxygen, and rocket fuel from local materials. Getting this technology working is where the moon comes in handy. Testing these systems in lunar conditions is like doing a dry run with your training wheels still on before barreling full speed toward an alien world with no tech support hotline. And that's it. That's the plan. NASA has the ball rolling. Private companies are trying to keep up. And once we're in the 2030s, I have a hunch it'll be off to the races. By 2050, there could be a new human civilization developing on another planet. Will Oumuamua return? On October 19, 2017, scientists at the Pan-STARRS-1 telescope in Hawaii were squinting at the sky and getting very excited. They spotted an object zipping through the solar system at incredible speed. It was exciting because this mystery object wasn't orbiting the sun like your average law-abiding asteroid. Instead, it was on a hyperbolic trajectory. Now, you're probably wondering what a hyperbolic trajectory is. What it means is that the object was never gravitationally bound to our sun. It came into our solar system from somewhere else, some other solar system far, far away in the vastness of space. This was huge. Nerds everywhere were geeking out, making conference calls, peering into their telescopes. It was astronomical chaos. Scientists immediately dubbed it Oumuamua, and the race was on to figure out what this thing was before it disappeared. Oumuamua means the first scout from afar in Hawaiian, and I couldn't think of a better name for it. This cigar-shaped cosmic intruder swung by, waved hello from beyond the stars, and then sped off on a joyride through our solar system without so much as a proper goodbye. Scientists were left in shambles. What the heck was it? Where did it come from? And the question that keeps conspiracy forums frothing at the mouth, is it coming back? The thing moved like it had programming. It zipped by like it was late for a date with the 7-armed alien babe. Was this a simple space rock or a real alien vehicle? What was it? At first, experts thought it was a comet. Then they noticed it had no coma, the gassy, dusty halo comets wear like cosmic tiaras. When you see a comet in the sky, it typically has a tail. But Oumuamua had no tail and no coma. It was just plain weird. And then it got weirder. This thing didn't look anything like the chubby space potatoes we know and love. It was long, thin, and slightly flat, kind of like a giant cosmic Slim Jim. It was roughly 1,200 feet long and about 150 feet wide. Imagine a skyscraper-sized space cigar casually cruising through our neighborhood. That's what Oumuamua was. Even spookier was that it appeared to be accelerating. Now, you might think, don't comets accelerate? And you'd be partly right. Comets can get a little nudge of acceleration when ice on their surface turns directly into gas, acting like tiny thrusters. This process creates that dusty coma and the tail. But Oumuamua had no visible tail and no coma. So if it wasn't venting gas like a normal comet, what was giving it that extra push? Here was this skyscraper-sized, non-coma-having space object with no visible propulsion accelerating like it hit the gas pedal. Scientists started looking at each other like, is this thing being piloted? Or is there some other bizarre natural phenomenon we've never seen before? The mystery deepened. Harvard drops the mic. Next, in came Professor Avi Loeb from Harvard University. This guy looked at the data, rubbed his chin thoughtfully, and announced, aliens! Loeb proposed that Oumuamua might be an alien probe, possibly a piece of light sail technology sent to scout other star systems. Once Loeb announced this to the public, the media ate it up like a bucket of candy. Suddenly, headlines were shouting, NASA terrified and alien ship spotted, when in reality, NASA was more like, interesting, while sipping their cosmic-flavored coffee. The worst part of this whole debacle was that the object was already moving away by the time it was detected. The Hubble Space Telescope couldn't even snap a decent pic of the thing. It was like trying to photograph a runaway grain of rice in a dark room while also spinning and being blindfolded. NASA finally found out what it's like to photograph Bigfoot. Where did it come from? Maybe it's an alien probe, maybe a piloted spacecraft, maybe a space rock ejected from an exploding planet 1 billion miles away and 1 billion years ago. Nobody knows what it is, so let's move on to another question. Where did it come from? Oumuamua's trajectory pointed vaguely toward the star Vega and the Lyra constellation. But here's a mind-bender. Vega wasn't even in the same spot when Oumuamua started its cosmic trek. Why? Because stars aren't fixed points in the sky. They're constantly moving, orbiting the center of our galaxy and drifting through space. Over vast stretches of time, stars can change their position significantly relative to one another. So even if Oumuamua started from Vega's general direction, Vega itself would have been in a different place hundreds of millions or even billions of years ago when Oumuamua began its journey. Luckily, scientists have come up with a few solid theories about how this interstellar visitor ended up cruising through our neighborhood. The gravitational slingshot theory. Picture a giant planet in another solar system, much like our Jupiter, giving Oumuamua a powerful gravitational boot. This theory suggests a large exoplanet pulled Oumuamua into its orbit and then flung it into interstellar space, much like how David slingshotted Goliath right in the face. Another theory is the exoplanet shrapnel theory. This fascinating idea proposes that Oumuamua might be a nitrogen ice shard from a destroyed Pluto-like planet in a distant star system. The sun's heat would have caused this nitrogen ice to sublimate or turn directly into gas, providing the small push that accounted for its unexplained acceleration. Then there's the comet ghost theory. Perhaps Oumuamua was once a typical comet that ventured too close to its home star, losing all its volatile ice and dust. What was left behind was a dead or extinct comet, a rocky, featureless husk that continued its journey through space devoid of the usual coma and tail. The bottom line is that while scientists have more theories than definitive answers, they continue to explore every natural explanation for Oumuamua's bizarre characteristics. The idea of an alien probe, championed by some, has certainly captured public imagination, pushing the boundaries of what we consider possible. Where is it now? If you're hoping to catch a glimpse of Oumuamua with your backyard telescope in 2025, sorry, no dice. While you may have heard that our curious visitor is making a comeback, it's just not true. This cosmic wanderer left the Kuiper Belt years ago and is now cruising toward the constellation Pegasus. At over 100 AU away, or about 9 billion miles, it's basically lost in the void. Not even the mighty James Webb Telescope can spot it now. It's like trying to find a burnt matchstick in the Pacific Ocean. I can even give you a play-by-play of its journey away from us. It was discovered on October 19, 2017. In May of 2018, it crossed Jupiter's orbit. By 2019, it was exiting the Kuiper Belt, and then it was out of our solar system. In 2025, it's gone in the solar winds. There is no way of finding it. Oumuamua is gone and more than likely not coming back. Because it's on a hyperbolic trajectory, Oumuamua isn't orbiting the sun. It's flying the coop permanently. By 2038, scientists say it'll pass the heliopause, which is a very scientific name for the edge of the sun's influence. Imagine the farthest distance at which the sun's light and warmth holds any influence at all. This is the heliopause, and it's so far away that even this rogue speed demon won't reach it for another 13 years. And it's flying at roughly 196,000 miles per hour. So no, despite what some shady YouTube thumbnails say, it's not coming back. Elon Musk never said it was, and nobody at NASA screamed in terror. The object never threatened Earth. It just visited, briefly, mysteriously, and just once. Was it an alien probe? Maybe. If you have anything you want to add, or if there's something you think I missed, let me know in the comments. This mystery is too big for me alone, and I could use your help. What do you think? And now for a quick break, because it's shout-out time! I want to give a big thank you to Ben Palmy and Karen Graham for supporting this channel. I hope you have a great day or night, wherever you might be watching from. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out. What's happening on Pluto? Pluto is everyone's favorite planet that isn't technically a planet anymore. When Pluto got downgraded, people freaked out. I'm still bitter about it. And now, the solar system's former underdog is back in the cosmic spotlight. The James Webb Space Telescope is revealing Pluto's secrets to the world. The same telescope that's been taking stunning selfies of distant galaxies was recently aimed at our little blue friend. And what did it see? Pluto appears to be wrapped in a mysterious, glow-in-the-dark haze. It's rewriting what scientists thought they knew about planetary climates. Not just Pluto's, but ours too. Pluto's not dead yet. After Pluto was controversially kicked out of the Planet Club in 2006, with scientists harshly dismissing it as nothing but a glorified space rock, it largely faded from public discussion. That changed dramatically with NASA's New Horizons spacecraft flyby in 2015, and that was when the game changed. Scientists found out that Pluto isn't a lifeless ice marble like they'd assumed. It is geographically complex and has all kinds of juicy ingredients to be a cool planet. It's got methane glaciers, nitrogen plains, icy dunes, mountains made of water ice, and a surface that changes with the seasons. Pluto is very much a living entity. While it may not host living creatures, its surface is active just like any official planet. And if that weren't enough, Pluto was found to be doing something incredibly bizarre. It's leaking its atmosphere into space like a punctured balloon leaks helium. And some of that escaping gas seems to be getting slurped up by its moon, Charon. This is one of the weirdest discoveries in recent years. It's like if Earth's atmosphere was leaking into space, only to be vacuumed up by the moon. Pluto's moon seems to be siphoning its atmosphere like you might siphon gas from a gas tank. And scientists are at a total loss. Enter the haze. 2 years after the New Horizons flyby, planetary scientist Xi Jiang from UC Santa Cruz came up with a theory. He and his team proposed that Pluto's atmosphere is wrapped in a haze, a whisper-thin, frigid shroud made of nitrogen and methane particles. This haze, they said, works like Pluto's personal thermostat. It absorbs the faint, faraway sunlight that manages to reach it, then cools things down by radiating that energy back into space as infrared light. Seeing as Pluto is 39 times farther from the sun than Earth, it's not exactly tanning out there. Xi Jiang's idea was fascinating, but there was a problem. Pluto's moon kept photobombing the data. Their signals were overlapping, making it impossible to tell which temperature readings came from which celestial body. And then the James Webb Telescope was unleashed and everything became crystal clear. It only cost a cool $10 billion. Webb's big reveal. Using its mid-infrared instrument known as MIRI, the James Webb Space Telescope finally did what New Horizons and every Earth-bound telescope couldn't. It separated Pluto's signal from Charon's signal. This proved Jiang's theory. The haze is real. It is cold, and it is emitting exactly the kind of infrared radiation he predicted nearly a decade earlier. This finding didn't just confirm Pluto's freaky air conditioning, it redefined how astronomers think about atmospheres in the solar system. They now know that other places like Neptune's moon Triton and Saturn's moon Titan have hazy atmospheres that might be doing similar things. The real kicker is that data shows Earth may have also once been shrouded by a hazy sort of cosmic shield. According to Jiang, before oxygen showed up on Earth around 2.4 billion years ago, Earth's atmosphere was a hydrocarbon soup. There was no oxygen and mostly just nitrogen, which would have looked and behaved a lot like Pluto's haze today. Pluto, the planet we kicked to the curb like yesterday's news, may now be teaching us about the climate conditions that made early Earth habitable. That's like dropping out of school and then tutoring the teachers. The weirdest stuff in the universe. Forget black holes and neutron stars. There's a new kind of weirdness in the galaxy. Somewhere out there, floating in the silent void of space, are the strangest objects in the universe. They're even called strange stars. No, seriously, that's what they're called. And although they might be the strangest objects in the universe, they also might not exist. The thing is, scientists have never seen one. There is no evidence of one. But if these strange stars do exist, as some experts have hypothesized, they could be weirder than anything else ever seen through a telescope. Star Death 101. You've probably heard somewhere in your life that the sun will eventually die, and that's true. Stars, like planets, like people, like your Farmville crops, perish. When a massive star runs out of fusion fuel, it collapses like a cosmic Jenga tower. This collapse usually ends in a supernova, one of the craziest explosions in the known universe. Then, when the dust settles, there's either a neutron star left in place of the dead star or a black hole. Stars don't just explode and vanish, they always leave something behind. So what is a neutron star? These things are nuts. Imagine squeezing the mass of the sun into a sphere just 10 miles across, which is smaller than New York City. The whole weight of our burning star in a solid orb the size of New York City. It's such a crazy comparison that it's hard to fathom. A single teaspoon of neutron star material would weigh 1 billion tons on Earth. That's like trying to eat a mountain with a soup spoon. 1 billion tons on the edge of your pinky finger. On the flip side of things, a supernova can cause a black hole. And now, scientists are saying there's a third option. If a star's collapse doesn't form a black hole or create a neutron star, it might create a strange star. The punk rock rebels of astrophysics. To get a theoretical strange star, you must start with a neutron star. Neutron stars are made almost entirely of neutronium, a substance where all the protons and electrons are squashed together into neutrons. It's dense, it's degenerate, and it's the final stop before the abyss. At the center of a neutron star, the pressure is so extreme that the neutrons themselves might not survive. Instead, they could break down into their fundamental parts, known as quarks. Ever wonder where Quark from Star Trek gets his name? Now you know. And now we're cooking with quantum. Scientists at the Large Hadron Collider created tiny samples of this stuff called quark-gluon plasma for a few trillionths of a second. It's a fiery, chaotic, subatomic rave where the usual rules of matter go on vacation. But in a neutron star's heart, something even wilder might happen. Instead of plasma, the quarks could form a superfluid. That's a magical state of matter that flows without resistance. Think of superfluid like if you poured water and it just kept going forever. Superfluid has no friction, no energy loss, and no interruption of its motion. Theoretically, a superfluid could flow forever without stopping. If this quark soup stabilizes with a specific recipe of quark flavors, you get something truly exotic called strange matter. It's like dark matter, but weird. Oh yeah, and quarks literally have flavors. I'm not just making things up over here. Meet the Quark Squad. There are 6 flavors of quarks: up, down, strange, charm, top, and bottom. Neutrons are made of 2 downs and 1 up. But under insane pressure, physics thinks some of those down quarks might become strange quarks. And suddenly, you've got strange matter, a mix of up, down, and strange quarks living in harmony. And if you're confused, just bear with me. Talking space, quantum mechanics, quarks, and neutrons is about as confusing as it can get. I'm doing my best here. Strange matter is theorized to be absurdly stable, as in it could last forever. Remember, superfluid is one of the most stable materials known to science. Strange matter is even more stable. If it formed in a star, that star would be what scientists call a strange star. Now, what do you think happens when a star is formed from the most stable material imaginable? It never dies. Theoretically, a strange star wouldn't decay, ever. A strange star could float through the universe until the death of everything, sipping space cocktails and judging all the lesser stars for the next 10, 20, 100 billion years. All of that technical mumbo-jumbo was worth it for the punchline, right? Strange stars are, in essence, invincible stars. They're like light bulbs that never burn out. But like I said before, no one has ever found one. Why no strange stars? These things are entirely theoretical. So far, scientists have seen 0 strange stars. But based on what they know about particle physics and the life cycle of stars, they could exist. Researchers just haven't been able to prove it. The signs would be subtle, not easy to identify. Strange stars might look similar to neutron stars. They might be the same size and exhibit the same general behavior, but they might have different spin rates, cooling patterns, or surface emissions. It's like trying to identify a bunch of people's eye color when they're all wearing sunglasses. If science ever does find a strange star, it would change everything. Because strange matter might be the most stable stuff in the universe. And if it touches normal matter, it could theoretically convert that normal matter into more strange matter. And what would that look like for the universe? If a strange star sneezed on a normal star, it might start a chain reaction that turns the whole thing into another strange star. But what happens when that strange matter is used on everyday objects here on Earth? It's something so crazy, so hypothetically insane, that scientists don't even have a guess. Do you? Electro-weak stars. If strange stars haven't been weird enough for you, let's do a bonus round. Let's talk about another universal weirdo, the electro-weak star. These are even denser theoretical objects where the heat and pressure are so extreme that not only are the quarks broken apart, but the fundamental forces of the universe start merging. Things like gravity and electromagnetism begin to combine. Electro-weak stars are the final frontier of cosmic nightmares, where quarks themselves start getting digested by energy. They're so hypothetical, they make strange stars look tame. And in all honesty, it's unlikely anyone from Earth will ever find one. But they might be out there. What's hiding inside a black hole? What if the laws of physics just stopped? You can't do a video on weird space without black holes. They are the final bosses of astrophysics. These terrifying gravity wells don't just suck in matter, they devour it, erase it, and then taunt us. No one knows what's inside a black hole. It's the most fundamental mystery of space. Once you pass the event horizon, that point of no return when not even light escapes, you're off the map. And I mean that. Physics, time, space, even reality decay within a black hole. But what it looks like, no one can say. Scientists have been obsessing over this mystery for decades, throwing out some of the wildest, most mind-bending ideas ever conceived. Even Einstein and Hawking grappled intensely with these questions, pushing the boundaries of human understanding. Let's check it out. The basics. A black hole forms when a massive star collapses under its own gravity after running out of fuel. Remember, when a large star dies, it either leaves a neutron star or a black hole. When a black hole is formed, it is so dense that its escape velocity exceeds the speed of light, which means once you're in, you are never getting out. At the center of every black hole is the singularity. Not just a singularity, but the point of where space-time folds in on itself. The laws of physics throw up their hands and Einstein leaves the chat. What happens within this singularity is the topic of discussion for today. Hypothesis number 1. Einstein's wormhole theory. In 1915, Albert Einstein gave us general relativity, a theory that revolutionized our understanding of gravity. It also predicted black holes long before scientists knew they existed. But Einstein wasn't just thinking about death traps in space. He wondered whether black holes might be bridges. He and physicist Nathan Rosen theorized that black holes might form wormholes, aka Einstein-Rosen bridges. These are shortcuts through space and time. Imagine falling into a black hole and popping out on the other side of the galaxy, or in an entirely different universe. The issue is that wormholes are theorized to be about as stable as a house of cards in a hurricane. It's believed that when you enter a wormhole, it instantly collapses. Even if a person could enter a black hole and it did function as a teleporter to parts unknown, the wormhole would collapse, leaving the traveler in some distant corner of space. Maybe not the best travel plan. Hypothesis number 2. Hawking radiation. Einstein thought black holes were portals. Stephen Hawking had a different idea. In the 1970s, Hawking proposed that black holes aren't completely black after all. He insisted they leak radiation due to quantum effects of the event horizon. This became known as Hawking radiation. If this is true, it means black holes evaporate over time. Very, very slowly. Glacially slow. But they evaporate nonetheless. So what happens when information falls into an evaporating black hole that won't fully decay for millions of years? According to quantum mechanics, information, including matter, can't just vanish. But if a black hole evaporates and leaves nothing behind, where did all that information go? Say a black hole swallows a galaxy, then it disappears a billion years later. Where is the galaxy it swallowed? Matter or information can't just vanish. At least it shouldn't be able to. This conundrum is now known as the black hole information paradox, and it's been driving physicists nuts ever since Hawking came up with it. Hypothesis number 3. Black holes as holograms. Moving into hypothesis number 3 is where things start to get weirdly interesting. Physicists Juan Maldacena and Leonard Susskind proposed a theory based on the holographic principle, which is the idea that everything inside a region of space can be described by data encoded on its boundary, like a 3D object being projected from a 2D surface. This could mean that black holes are entangled holograms connected by quantum wormholes. This theory is a little too wacky even for me. What are you supposed to do with an entangled quantum wormhole hologram? I don't even know where to start. So maybe it's a good thing that none of these theories have ever been confirmed. The only way to find out what lies beyond the event horizon of a black hole is to go inside of one. But make no mistake, that's a one-way trip, my friend. Once you're past the horizon, not even the signal from your phone's hotspot will escape. Even Hawking radiation, if scientists could detect it, might only offer whispers from the edge of the event horizon, nothing from inside. And detecting that radiation is absurdly difficult, like trying to catch a single atom with chopsticks. So for now, the brightest minds in space science rely on math, models, and a healthy dose of imagination to make sense of black holes. Simulation after simulation, theory after theory, all to figure out what lies inside a shadow we can't peer into. If somehow you could make it into deep space and stand on top of a diving board positioned over the mouth of a black hole, would you go inside? Would you take the leap knowing you'd never return, just to see what's on the other side? What happens to your body in space? So, you think you want to be an astronaut, float through the stars, eat dehydrated ice cream, maybe wave at Earth from 250 miles up? Sounds cool, right? And here I come to ruin your dream in the name of science. Because while space might look like a sleek sci-fi utopia, the truth is that your body kind of hates it. You have evolved over millions of years to be a creature of Earth. For your body, going into space is like throwing a fish in a bowl of ketchup. I'm talking detached fingernails, baby soft feet, and a face that bloats like you just lost a boxing match. Space doesn't play around with your body. Baby feet. Perhaps the strangest thing that happens to a person's body in space is that they grow baby feet. Let me explain before you freak out. Gravity is the reason your feet are covered in calluses from walking, standing, and wearing the wrong shoes on that hike last summer. But in space, your feet are unemployed. Without gravity forcing you to stand or walk, your soles stop toughening up. The result is that those crusty old calluses you probably don't even realize you have fall off like molting lizard skin. Underneath is soft, squishy skin. After a while in space, you're left with freshly soft baby feet, which might sound nice, but is actually terrible. Astronaut Scott Kelly, the guy who lived in space for nearly a year and somehow didn't go insane, explained it like this. The bottoms of your feet become very soft, like newborn baby feet, but the top of my feet develop rough alligator skin because I use the tops of my feet to get around here on the space station when using foot rails. What Kelly was saying is that you lose foot skin in one place and grow it in another. It's kind of like a weird foot-themed episode of Freaky Friday. Astronaut eye. I'll admit, getting baby feet doesn't sound that bad. I mean, it's weird, but not terrible. Astronaut eye is worse. Imagine trying to sleep in space. You finally drifted off, nestled in your zero-gravity sleeping bag, and then bam! A burst of light explodes behind your eyelids. No lightning, no power surge, just your retinas getting pummeled by cosmic rays. This trippy side effect is known as cosmic ray visual phenomena, or astronaut's eye. Scientists think these phantom light flashes are caused by high-energy particles, literal rays from space smacking into your eyes at relativistic speeds. This is pretty wild stuff. While astronauts sleep, space particles hit their retinas and give them a free light show. In one study, 47 out of 59 astronauts reported seeing these weird light displays in orbit. You go to space to explore the stars, only to find out the stars come to you. Astronaut eyes shouldn't make you go blind, but it's a bizarre way to wake up. Onycholysis. prepare yourself because this one is gross. Some astronauts have reported a condition called onycholysis, which is science speak for your fingernails peeling off from the nail bed. It's like one of those nightmares where your teeth fall out, but for fingernails. The culprit is NASA themselves. NASA's gloves, while protective, are stiff and pressurized, making simple tasks feel like wrestling an angry inflatable balloon. This can cause pressure points that rub your nails into submission. Eventually, the nails just give up and stop growing. A NASA paper from 2015 said hand injuries are common among astronauts training for extravehicular activity, and sometimes those injuries escalate to full-on nail rebellion. It's not going to kill you, but it will be uncomfortable and weird. Bone fusion. In space, even your bones get lazy. Without gravity constantly telling your skeleton to keep its act together, your body decides it doesn't really need a skeleton anymore. And when this happens, it's bad news. Your bones start to reabsorb into your bloodstream, and your muscles start wasting away like you're on a permanent Netflix binge with no snacks. Let me repeat that. Your bones are reabsorbed into your bloodstream. How absolutely weird is that? Your bones start to disintegrate into your blood. What? Who even knew the human body could do that? According to the government of Canada, who are monitoring this for some weird reason, astronauts can lose up to 20% of muscle mass on missions lasting just 5 to 11 days. And to make everything so much worse, you never stop peeing. Constant bathroom breaks. You think being in space would make you feel superhuman. Instead, it mostly makes you feel like you're constantly trying to find a bathroom. In microgravity, your bodily fluids don't know where to go. They start shifting around, floating up into your chest and head. You've probably seen when someone opens a water bottle in 0G. The water floats around aimlessly. The same thing happens with all the fluids in your body, and your brain freaks out. It tells your body to get rid of the fluid, and your body starts trying to flush everything through your urine. NASA says that once the extra fluid is eliminated, your body recalibrates. But in the meantime, you feel full, bloated, and dehydrated. Astronauts even report feeling less thirsty. It's like space is forcing you to aggressively detox. If you want to lose some weight, book a ticket to the moon. This is also the cause behind space face. With microgravity sending all your fluids upwards, you end up with bloated cheeks, swollen eyelids, and the look of someone who got attacked by 1,000 bees. Thankfully, the puffiness usually fades after a few days, but still, not the best look for your zero-gravity Tinder profile. And now that you know the dangers of 0G, do you still want to go to space? Secrets of the Shadow Moon. All right, conspiracy lovers and cosmic aficionados, let's talk about the moon. As it turns out, the moon might be a little more crowded than NASA has led us to believe. A curious little video has been orbiting the depths of YouTube. It claims that Neil Armstrong himself, the first man to moonwalk without sequins, filmed actual ancient alien structures on the lunar surface during the Apollo 11 mission in 1969. And no, I'm not talking about a weird rock that looks like a rabbit. These are huge, obviously artificial structures. Rectangular, geometrically suspicious, looking a lot like ruined moon condos. For those of you alive during moon mania in the 1960s, you might remember how excited the US was about landing on the big pale cheese in the sky. You may also remember that a few missions later, NASA went radio silent. They packed up their gear, said, "We're good," and never went back. Suspicious, right? NASA was on a roll with space exploration, and then they just quit for no reason? Which brings me back to the alleged Armstrong footage. Posted on YouTube under the title Capture 171, the video claims to show structures on the moon that don't look natural unless lava started taking architecture classes. But are these structures real? Is the video even real? There's kind of no way of telling at this point, but I can tell you that astronauts in space frequently experience unusual encounters. Former astronaut and real-deal moonwalker Dr. Edgar Mitchell once said, "There is no doubt that we are being visited. No, we are not alone." And that's from someone who's been to the moon. Where have you been lately? If you want more evidence, let me introduce you to Dr. John Brandenburg, former deputy manager of NASA's Clementine mission. He was the head honcho when water was found at the moon's poles in 1994. He said that the Clementine mission was a reconnaissance mission to check whether someone else had established a base on the moon yet. And what they found in pictures was a miles-wide rectilinear structure, that's a word I don't use every day, that looked unmistakably artificial. When asked about the structure, Dr. Brandenburg said, "It isn't ours. There's no way we could have built such a thing. It means someone else is up there." That is a bold statement. When you hear legit NASA scientists admitting someone or something was already on the moon before us, it makes you wonder what else NASA might be hiding from the general population. Sure, I can't 100% verify the video. Maybe it's real. Maybe it's a hoax cooked up in someone's mom's basement using an iMac and imagination. But even if this clip isn't of a real alien city on the moon, it doesn't mean there isn't one up there. The sheer number of scientists, astronauts, and government insiders speaking out about extraterrestrials and moon mysteries is pretty serious. Could it be an abandoned city, an ancient galactic rest stop, the moon's version of Atlantis, or just some weird rocks? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. The best discovery of alien life yet. 120 light years from Earth, orbiting a tiny red dwarf star, there is a planet by the name of K2-18b. And scientists have just found life on it. You heard me. I said life, as in alien life. Well, signatures of life at least. On this warm, watery, Earth-like planet, scientists identified a chemical in the atmosphere that is only known to be produced by one thing. And that one thing is living things, specifically marine algae. Researchers from the University of Cambridge were peering into deep space with the James Webb Space Telescope, as one does, when they found something weird. Inside K2-18b's thick hydrogen-rich atmosphere was a molecule called dimethyl sulfide, or DMS. Here on Earth, DMS is only made by living organisms, mostly sea algae that likes to party and burp into the air. If this same chemical is on K2-18b, it begs the question, is there something alive there? Something producing DMS right now? Or is the universe just trolling us with cosmic coincidences? A lot of scientists are saying this is irrefutable proof of alien life. However, as always, there are some issues. Mainly, that no one really knows what K2-18b is made of. Some scientists think it's a Hycean planet, which is new lingo for a water world with a hydrogen atmosphere, kind of like a super Earth meets a mini Neptune with spa vibes. Dr. Niku Madhusudan, lead author of the new study and king of Hycean hype, called it a revolutionary moment. "I think we just found alien soup." Others, like Dr. Christopher Glein of the Southwest Research Institute, are pumping the brakes and saying, let's not freak out yet. He warns that K2-18b might just be a giant rock with magma oceans and an atmosphere so toxic even your ex wouldn't live there. And fair enough. This isn't proof of life yet. It's more like the universe whispering, hey, maybe check over there. I know we should all be cautious, but this does have the potential to be the discovery of the decade. Even the cautious scientists are kind of losing it. Scientists who dismiss pretty much every weird or unusual theory are climbing on board the Hycean alien train. Nicole Lewis, a Cornell University exoplanet expert, said, "I'm not screaming aliens, but I always reserve my right to scream aliens." I like her. That's the general vibe in the scientific community right now. There are only two possible outcomes. This could be the first time humanity's caught a whiff of alien life across the universe, or it could be space gas from a planet that smells weird for no biological reason. Science is fun like that. Luckily for us, curious humans, this is just the beginning. New telescopes are on the way. The James Webb Telescope is still doing its thing, but the best is yet to come. Stay tuned. And now for a quick break, because I wanted to give a big thank you to Again Gagnon for the super thanks. It really means a lot, and we wouldn't be here without you. Be sure to subscribe to join the Origins Explained family if you haven't already. The Martian Portal. You are never going to guess what NASA has done this time. They didn't give us direct proof of alien shenanigans, but they did casually drop a photo of a giant hole on Mars. I say hole, but it's more like a portal. Like a huge, monstrous, perfectly round portal. Where does it lead? No one knows. Maybe Martian hell? Maybe to an underground alien city? Maybe to another dimension? NASA dropped the image and then went back to pretending everything's normal. Sorry, what? This gaping Martian portal is roughly 328 feet wide. It was snapped by the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter in 2017 and only now released as NASA's astronomy picture of the day. You know, just your average scenic vacation pic of a massive void possibly hiding alien life. No big deal, NASA. You might be thinking I'm overreacting. Surely it's just a crater on Mars, a perfectly normal crater like we have here on Earth. But NASA said, and I quote, these kinds of holes might be portals to lower levels. I mean, did someone at NASA just start watching Stranger Things again, or are they really talking about portals to lower levels of the planet? According to NASA brainiacs, the Martian surface is about as hospitable as a gas station bathroom during a heat wave, but it could be home to underground caves? Now we're talking about potential habitable areas for humans. Apparently, these holes are big deals because they may lead to massive lava tubes or natural tunnels. The areas are shielded from radiation and cosmic nastiness, making them ideal bases for human exploration. And if you're an alien microbe trying to survive on Mars, you're probably surviving in one of these Martian man caves. NASA even hinted that these spots could be prime real estate for astronauts, robots, and eventually, average human colonists. But what even made the crater? NASA's best guess is a meteor impact. Sorry, everyone, it wasn't alien architects. Dr. Glenn Cushing from the United States Geological Survey said that researchers have already mapped over 1,000 possible cave entrances on Mars, but they don't know where a single one of them goes. It's like seeing 1,000 doors leading into a building while having no clue what's inside the building. Someone needs to get to Mars ASAP and climb down into this gaping portal to see what lurks underneath. Einstein's theory confirmed by gravity probe. Albert Einstein, you know, the guy with the crazy hair who made time bend with his brain, once said it would be impossible to measure a certain freaky effect of gravity known as frame dragging. Well, NASA has just done the impossible, and Einstein is rolling in his grave, probably of happiness. These weren't just abstract ideas. Gravity Probe B, a satellite launched in 2004, just confirmed two of Einstein's wildest predictions. One, that Earth warps the fabric of space-time like a cosmic bowling ball on a trampoline. Two, that Earth drags space around with it as it spins. I know it's hard to picture, but it's kind of amazing. Earth is basically stirring space like it's a sugar-free latte. Frame dragging is a crazy concept. It means that when a large celestial object like Earth spins, it spins space with it, like a bowling ball being spun inside of a vat of honey. The honey in this simile is space-time itself. The idea is that anyone caught inside the spinning space-time will have their perception twisted. They'll get space whiplash. Einstein predicted frame dragging, but he also said there was no way anyone would ever be able to measure it. Einstein said it would be like trying to spot a gnat doing the moonwalk from 10 miles away. NASA just proved Einstein both right and wrong. They launched Gravity Probe B into orbit with 4 of the most precise gyroscopes ever made. So sensitive, they could measure an angle as tiny as 6,600 milliarcseconds. That's a unit of measurement so small, I don't even have something to compare it to. But mission leader Francis Everett does. Francis said it's like spotting a single human hair from 10 miles away. Once the probe was launched, it locked onto a distant star, IM Pegasi, using something called a star tracker. Then it floated up, watching, waiting, measuring the tiniest of drifts in the gyroscopes over the course of a year. And sure enough, the gyro wobbled just enough to prove Einstein's theory that he came up with 70 years ago. The fact that Einstein's math remains undefeated, even when modern scientists try to break it with billion-dollar satellites, it's kind of terrifying and amazing. What does all of this mean for you, though? Who cares if frame dragging exists or not? To be honest, unless you're planning to launch a black hole next weekend, it probably has no effect on your life whatsoever. But for scientists trying to understand quasars, rotating black holes, and the chaotic ballet of galaxies being yeeted across the universe, this is huge news. That said, it's not quite as exciting as what NASA just found on Mars, so don't change the channel. A crash UFO on Mars. Mars presents a cold, red, dusty, and seemingly barren landscape. It's not the kind of place where you would expect a pilot to crash, but here we are. NASA has just released a photograph of what appears to be a space pilot's tragic disaster. An alien ship appears to have crashed and burned on the Martian surface. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter has been snapping pics of Mars like a cosmic paparazzo since 2006. But one image in particular, taken somewhere between February 2012 and June 2014, has the UFO crowd yelling, "We told you so!" What's got them worked up? A mysterious disc-shaped object that appears to have crash-landed in the region known as Elysium Planitia. And yes, it looks suspiciously like something that belongs in Star Trek, or Star Wars, any of those shows. The object seems to have left a distinct crater rim where it crashed, plus a splash of debris looks to have been flung all over the area from the impact. The flung debris is darker than the surrounding terrain, while something shiny at the center of the crater is reflecting sunlight. Everything in the image points to a crashed flying saucer, but NASA won't say that. They've come out publicly and said that yes, things do hit Mars all the time. Meteorites, space junk, etc. The surface is a giant bullseye for space rocks. But NASA said nothing about a crashed UFO. In fact, they tend to avoid using the acronym UFO altogether. What's really amazing about this particular discovery is that there are before and after images. NASA took photos of the Elysium Planitia before the impact. You can see in the pictures that there's nothing there. Then they snapped photos after, and you can clearly see that something smashed into the surface. Hard. Here's the after image. Take a look and let me know what you think. Does it look like a spaceship crashed and exploded? Now, here's the before and after side by side. Pretty convincing, right? Is it a UFO? Some of our space junk? Or a meteorite? You let me know what it is in the comments. Dyson Spheres. Could alien civilizations be harnessing the power of entire stars right now? For alien architects and sci-fi daydreamers, the wildly ambitious concept of Dyson Spheres, those star-swallowing mega lampshades dreamed up by physicist Freeman Dyson in the 1960s, might actually work. A new twist suggests it's more than just fantasy. But there's a catch. And by catch, I mean it's nearly impossible to pull off. Before getting into the heavy stuff, let me give you a quick refresh course on sci-fi technology. Freeman Dyson imagined a world of affordable, high-tech vacuums and air purifiers. Kidding, that's a different Dyson. Our Dyson imagined that super advanced civilizations would need a ridiculous amount of energy to sustain themselves. So much energy that coal and nuclear power wouldn't even dent their utility bill. Dyson figured instead of harnessing energy from their planet, they would use their host star. This mighty civilization would build a sphere around a star to harness 100% of its power output. You think solar panels on your roof are pretty good? Imagine 100 billion, majillion, kafillion solar panels hugging the sun, all hooked up to your generator. Now that's power. Unfortunately, the cold, hard laws of science throw a wrench in the Dyson Sphere dream. The thing about gravity is that it doesn't care about your dreams. Inside a hollow sphere, gravity cancels itself out. There's nothing holding the star in place. So eventually, the star just drifts around and smacks into the sphere, creating the galaxy's most expensive demolition fail. Think of it like trying to build a hamster wheel around the hamster. The hamster isn't just going to sit still. In comes Colin McInnes, an engineer at the University of Glasgow. He has a solution for the Dyson problem. In his new study, published in the monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society, McInnes dug into binary star systems. Those are systems with two stars. Believe it or not, they're fairly common across the galaxy. McInnes ran the numbers and found a formula that makes sense for building a Dyson sphere. You just need one big star and one tiny star about 10 times smaller. You wrap the Dyson sphere around the smaller star, and it acts like a gravitational leash, orbiting the larger star while keeping the sphere stable and not spiraling into disaster. It's a delicate balancing act, but it is possible. McInnes has proven that the science behind a Dyson sphere is real. These monster generators could be built. But could one of those things really be out there right now, wrapped around a distant star? Scientists don't know, but they are looking. If they find anything convincing, I'll be sure to let you know ASAP. That time, a UFO delayed NASA. It seems like just about anything can delay your flight. Have you ever sat at the airport for 8 hours just waiting for your plane to take off, only for it to inevitably get canceled anyway? We've all been there. But in 2006, it happened to a spaceship, and it wasn't a gremlin on the wing that caused the delay. It was something worse. In September 2006, Space Shuttle Atlantis was wrapping up a smooth, textbook mission to the International Space Station. The astronauts were about to head home when something delayed their flight. A mysterious object was drifting alongside the shuttle, co-orbiting like it got invited to the mission and didn't bring snacks. And with that, NASA hit the brakes. The Atlantis crew spotted this mystery object moving in sync with the shuttle via an onboard camera, but the video quality was pure 2006, aka potato mode. Zoom in, enhance. No way, Jose. All they got was a dark blob doing a mysterious slow spin above Earth. Cue immediate confusion from Houston. NASA wasn't about to risk re-entry with a possible mystery alien hovering around their multi-billion-dollar spacecraft. So the flight home was delayed. Commander Brent Jett said whatever it was didn't look like anything he'd seen before. Jett described two ring-like objects floating around. Not space tools, not thermal blankets, just weird rings in space with no explanation. And to this day, no explanation has ever been found. NASA has listed some options, saying maybe it was ice, a tiny plastic shim, or some space debris. They don't want to admit an alien vessel may have been creeping on them from their blind spot. Space tornadoes. Have you ever wondered what's at the very center of our galaxy? Is it one giant star burning brighter than 1,000 suns? Could there be a secret civilization at the heart of it all? The answer is something you'd never ever guess. Way out in the center of our Milky Way galaxy, about 25,000 light-years away, a violent, swirling mess is unfolding amidst stars and cosmic dust. At the center of our home galaxy are space tornadoes whipping around like a cosmic blender set to puree a supermassive black hole. Core of our galaxy is known as the Central Molecular Zone, or CMZ, and it's home to long, skinny filaments of gas and dust spinning around like spaghetti in a NutriBullet. This amazing new discovery was made by a team of international astronomers led by Kai Yang from Shanghai Jiao Tong University. They used the Atacama Large Millimeter Submillimeter Array, or ALMA for short. It's the telescope equivalent of a 4K camera on caffeine, offering incredible 0.01 parsec resolution. That's like spotting a tic-tac on the moon. But what even are space tornadoes? It's not exactly a phrase you hear often. These swirling structures were traced using silicon monoxide, a molecule that shows up when shockwaves smash through gas clouds. And guess what? These filaments aren't just floating around aimlessly. They seem to be distributing shock-released molecules like tiny, angry delivery guys, throwing molecules into space like Oprah handed out free cars. Xing Liu, a research professor at the Shanghai Astronomical Observatory, was the one who called the spinning filaments space tornadoes. And he really nailed the vibe. Why? Because they are narrow, they move fast, they're chaotic, and just like real tornadoes, they ruin everything in their path and disappear before anyone knows what hit them. Seriously, these things take molecules and toss them into the surrounding chaos and then vanish. Scientists think they could be key to how matter gets recycled in this region. In other words, these filaments are like the cosmic compost bins of the galaxy. They are churning up space dust and recycling stray matter floating through the void. What causes these tornadoes is still a mystery. Why do they exist? Nobody knows, but what's clear is that they play a crucial role in the life cycle of matter near the galactic center. They might even help feed the nearby black hole. The next step is more study. More ALMA surveys, more molecules, more high-resolution peeks into the galactic jungle. Scientists need to learn more because the last thing Earth needs is to be hit by a random space tornado. Just when you thought the universe couldn't get any weirder, here we are. Is the moon made of metal? Okay, guys, hit the X-Files theme music and dim the lights. Imagine you're zooming past stars, space rocks, questionable Elon tweets, all the way to the dark side of the moon. It's here on this shady lunar surface that scientists have stumbled upon something insane. It's hiding deep beneath a crater, and no one can figure out what it is. Astronomers at Baylor University found a mysterious metal mass the size of a nightmare and the weight of 1,000 conspiracy theories buried under the moon's largest crater like an interstellar Easter egg. It's so bizarre, even NASA's like, okay, this is getting weird. Nestled beneath the Aitken Basin, which, fun fact, is the largest preserved crater in the entire solar system, researchers discovered a huge metallic anomaly. And when I say huge, I mean 5 of Hawaii's big islands put together huge. Let that sink in. It's like burying all of New York City under the moon and then forgetting about it. Why is there a chunk of metal bigger than 5 tropical islands under our lovely moon friend? Dr. Peter B. James, lead researcher and part-time moon detective, is trying to come up with a solution for what this thing is. It almost feels like it's a superstructure buried underground, possibly a city, possibly a crashed mothership from an alien race, or maybe it's the biggest iron deposit ever. Right now, there are 2 leading theories in the astronomy community, and they are both equally cool/terrifying. Theory 1 says that a long time ago, an asteroid with an iron-nickel core might have smacked the moon so hard it left its core behind inside the moon. Computer simulations amazingly back up Theory 1, suggesting that if the asteroid hit just right, like a perfect 8-ball corner pocket shot, its metallic insides could have sunk into the moon's upper mantle. The piece of metal could be nothing but a boring old rock's bones. Theory 2 says the mass could be a super dense glob of metallic oxides, leftovers from when the moon was one giant magma smoothie. Didn't you know the moon used to be a molten ball of goop in the heavens? As it cooled, this chunk of dense stuff might have settled in, squashing the crater floor down like a bowling ball in quicksand. So, scientists say either this metallic mass is an asteroid left over or a lunar lava burp that never got digested properly. Either way, there is something trapped in the moon, and we want to know what it is. As for why you, my good friend, should care about a lunar lump, that's easy. This strange discovery could help explain how moons, planets, and other big space balls got their shape. According to planetary scientist Sarah Mazrui from Western University, it's just so mysterious. You said it, Sarah. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. The killer black hole. Who would have thought that black holes can be as hangry as you at 2 p.m. when you realize you skipped lunch? Somebody needs to feed this thing before it swallows our whole planet. In a galaxy far away, something horrifyingly massive is on a strict diet. A deadly, delicious diet. Scientists just discovered a supermassive black hole that isn't just snacking, it's chowing down the equivalent of 12 moons a day. This thing is the real-life Galactus from Marvel, swallowing planets and crunching on moons for dinner. The galaxy where you'll find this insatiable black hole is GSN 069, which sounds like either a boring space station or your gamer tag from 2010. It's home to the most ravenous beast in the universe. Astronomers from NASA and the ESA found that the black hole isn't just sitting around being mysterious like normal. Nope. It is gobbling heated material 3 times a day, like it's on some kind of horrifying intermittent fasting routine. Giovanni Minuti, the lead astronomer from the ESA, said this black hole is on a meal plan like we've never seen before. In other words, scientists have never spotted a black hole behaving like this. This intergalactic feeding frenzy was first spotted by the European Space Agency's XMM Newton Space Observatory, which noticed giant bursts of energy coming from the black hole in December 2018. NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory jumped in to catch more action. Together, they tracked the black hole's dramatic snack schedule over 54 days. What they found is nothing short of jaw-dropping. This black hole throws a tantrum every 9 hours. And by tantrum, I mean it explodes with massive X-ray energy bursts. These bursts are deadly to everything they touch. Richard Saston, another scientist on the team, said this gives us a unique opportunity to witness the flow of matter into a supermassive black hole repeatedly speeding up and slowing down, which is science speak for we are watching a 400,000 solar mass monster throw food down its throat in a regular rhythm. And honestly, we don't know why it's being so polite about it. As the black hole feeds, it cranks up the heat on its food. Gas temperatures rocket from 1 million to 2.5 million degrees. So yeah, it likes its meals extra crispy. The data seems to indicate that the black hole is literally cooking its food, even if its food is just raw mass and moon's unlucky enough to fall into its dinner plate. The black hole in question is bigger than your imagination can fathom. That's not a jab at your imagination. This thing is 400,000 times the mass of our sun, which means if it wants to, it could swallow our entire solar system for breakfast and still ask, what's for lunch? 400,000 times the mass of our sun is already almost too big to imagine. We really are just specks of dust in this unending universe. And this whole terrifying buffet might be the remains of a poor star that the black hole shredded like pulled pork. Scientist Margherita Giustini said that the scientific team believes the origin of the X-ray emission they picked up is a star that the black hole has partially or completely torn apart and is slowly consuming bit by bit. The black hole is eating a star like a rotisserie chicken, and these bursts of energy scientists are picking up with their telescopes are the black hole licking its fingers every few hours. Seriously though, what is causing these X-ray emission bursts? Scientists have a couple of ideas, which sound like the setup to a disaster movie. Their first theory is that there's a massive energy buildup that releases in an explosion. The black hole's mealtime might be like a cosmic pressure cooker. Energy builds up during feeding until boom, it explodes in a massive burst. Then it repeats the cycle. The only other option on the menu right now is that the bursts are something even stranger. They could be made by gravity fluctuations or leftover debris from the star being slurped in layer by layer like a slushie. As Margarita put it, the cause of the periodic explosions might be a completely different story, which is scientists' code for we have no clue yet, but it is juicy. Knowing all of this, should we be worried that Earth will be gobbled up by a hangry black hole? The short answer is no. This particular black hole is far, far away, and so Earth is safe for now. The long answer is maybe. It's still kind of terrifying to know there are supermassive beasts out there with regular eating schedules, tearing apart stars and burping out X-rays like it's part of their spa day. This discovery helps scientists better understand how black holes grow, how they digest matter, and what happens when a star gets just a little too close. Because who's to say if a black hole won't one day grow so big it slips into our cosmic backyard and starts swallowing up our planets? Then what? How could Earth defend itself from a black freaking hole? The cosmic party crasher. Is it a meteor or a message? In the summer of 2025, while most of us were busy trying not to melt into huge puddles of sweat, the universe RSVP'd us a very special guest. It wasn't your average rock, asteroid, or space junk. The universe delivered us 3I/Atlas, an interstellar comet that traveled from outside our solar system to get here. And that's a big deal. Cosmic visitors. Now, Earth has had visitors from beyond before, but this guy is only the third interstellar object that astronomers have ever spotted. Since the first modern telescopes looked to the stars, only 3 objects have shown up from outside our cosmic neighborhood saying, hey, nice place. Mind if I just pass through? And let me tell you, NASA's Hubble Space Telescope wasn't going to miss the chance to snap some glamour shots of our new pal. On July 21st, 2025, when 3I Atlas was speeding by at about 277 million miles from Earth, Hubble zoomed in and captured the most detailed images of it yet. And what did those images reveal? Why not take a look for yourself? There it is, Atlas speeding by the traffic camera. I have a feeling it's not going to be paying its ticket. NASA said the comet has a teardrop-shaped cocoon of dust spilling off its icy core. But to be honest, all I see is a blue blur, the speed demon from the void. So how fast was this bad boy going? Only about 130,000 miles per hour. To put it into perspective, that's fast enough to lap the Earth in under 12 minutes. I don't even think Superman can circle the Earth in less than 12 minutes. If this comet were an Uber driver, you'd rate it 5 stars just for the thrill ride, and maybe deduct 1 star because you'd definitely throw up. Scientists confirmed on July 2nd, just a day after its discovery, that Atlas was not a homegrown rock, which means it came from somewhere out there. Out there in the beyond, past our imaginations and into the endless void. If you want an exact location, good luck. Nobody knows where the rock originated from, only that it came from somewhere far, far away. As David Jewett, astronomer at UCLA and leader of the Hubble science team, explained, it's like glimpsing a rifle bullet for 1,000th of a second. You can't project that back with any accuracy. In simple words, we'll probably never know where our visitor set off from, nor does anyone know where it's going. But it sure is in a hurry. You don't speed by at 130,000 miles an hour if you don't have somewhere to be. And no, you don't need to panic because this space missile is not coming anywhere near us in a way that matters. When it makes its closest approach to the sun in late October, it will be on the far side of the sun. That's like being on the dark side of the moon, but not so dark. What I'm trying to say is that humanity is not about to go the way of the T-Rex just yet. How big is this thing? Here's where things get interesting, guys. At the end of July, the freshly activated Vera C. Rubin Observatory took a peek and estimated that Atlas was a chunky 7 miles wide at its icy core. That would make it the celestial equivalent of a small city barreling through space. I don't want to be the one to say it, but Atlas, you need to chill out on eating nebula dust and space ice. You're getting huge. But wait, it might not be that big after all. Scientists can't seem to make up their mind. When the Hubble telescope examined Atlas, its high-resolution images showed that the nucleus might actually be closer to 3.5 miles across. It's like thinking you're going out with a dude who's 6 feet and then Frodo shows up. The comet is still massive, just not wipe out humanity massive. On the low end, NASA thinks it could be as small as 1,000 feet across, which is like the Eiffel Tower shooting across the stars like a bronze nuke. The mystery deepens. Unfortunately, scientists don't know where Atlas came from, what it's made of, or how many light years it's been on the road. It could be the cosmic equivalent of a lost tourist, or maybe it was kicked out of its home star system for bad behavior. Maybe it's been a vagabond for 1 billion years. This is why the mystery of 3i Atlas is so much fun. It's also why NASA isn't done poking at it. As it gets closer to Earth, the James Webb Space Telescope and other observatories will join the interstellar paparazzi, refining size estimates and maybe figuring out what's under all that dust. Until then, all we know is that Atlas is the biggest confirmed interstellar visitor anyone has ever seen, and it's currently ripping through our solar system like it owns the place. Excuse me, wipe your feet off, buddy. This is history, folks. We are alive at a time when humanity's telescopes can not only spot an alien space rock, but zoom in and peek under its dust coating. Is NASA sure it's a rock and not an alien spy? What do you think? Could Atlas secretly be a piece of alien technology gone astray in the Milky Way? According to one man, Atlas is indeed an alien probe. That man is a Harvard physicist, and I'm going to check in with him right now. He might just be the most controversial physicist to come out of Harvard this century. And now for a quick break, because it's shout-out time. I want to give a big thank you to Ryan and Donald Shevlin for supporting this channel. Hope you learned something new today. Be sure to hit that notification bell if you haven't already so you don't miss out on the latest space discoveries. The Cosmic Spy. Harvard scientist Avi Loeb thinks our mysterious interstellar visitor might be a high-tech alien recon probe. And apparently, he's got the goods to prove it. Let's check and see what sort of proof Mr. Loeb is talking about. Something weird just entered the neighborhood. The universe may be 93 billion light years wide, but Earth still barely gets any cosmic visitors, which is why the arrival of the comet called Atlas is so dang exciting. But one man wasn't buying the "it's just a comet" story. Dr. Avi Loeb, professional paradigm smasher and often the loudest guy in the room, thinks it's actually a scout from another star system. It may be cruising by Earth to get the skinny on what us fleshy humans are up to. Because according to Loeb, 3i Atlas is just too odd to be a normal space rock. It has too many things about it that don't make sense. Even if the rest of the scientific community is like, chill, Avi, just chill already, it's fine. When comets break the rules. You probably know how a comet works, but just in case, here's a quick recap. It's a big ball of ice that cruises through the universe propelled by some ancient event in some faraway place. Maybe it was part of a planet that exploded and all the pieces went flying, and the comet is still on autopilot 1 billion years later. When a comet gets close enough to the sun, it starts to get a little gassy. Remember, a comet is just a ball of ice in most cases. I call it a space rock, but it's more like a space snowball. As the comet gets heated up and gassy, it forms a long, dramatic tail, like a cosmic raccoon on fire. Except that as far as scientists can tell, 3i Atlas has yet to form a tail. Instead of trailing a fiery streak behind it, this object has a glow in front of it, which Dr. Loeb described as quite surprising, which is science speak for "what is that?" According to Loeb, this kind of forward-facing glow isn't typical comet behavior. To be honest, it's as if this comet has headlights. It's as if the glow in front is part of its navigational systems. Maybe the glow is from the ion drive of a high-tech space probe coasting past Earth like we're nothing but a roadside attraction on the Milky Way. Trajectory or targeting? Still not convinced Earth is being peeked on by some alien weirdos? No problem. Let's talk trajectory. Out of all the wild angles an interstellar object could approach from, 3i Atlas just happened to arrive on a path that neatly aligns with the orbital planes of Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, which are the 3 planets, by the way, that most closely resemble places you might care about if you were studying alien life. That's to say Venus, Mars, and Jupiter are the 3 most likely planets in our solar system to have small microbial life forms. And those are the 3 planets this mystery object swung by, almost as if it were doing a drive-by science experiment to check for life. While it could be a coincidence, Avi Loeb doesn't think so. Loeb ran the numbers. The odds of this object approaching the solar system with that level of alignment completely by chance are 1 in 500, which, saying it out loud, aren't even bad odds. I mean, I play the 1 in 500 lottery every day of the week. But that's just alignment. What about proximity? The comet doesn't just pass near these planets. It swings by each one like it's checking it off on a list. The odds of that happening at random are 1 in 20,000. That's a little less tempting of a lottery. At a certain point, it stops seeming like these things are all just coincidences and starts looking like someone, or something, programmed the object to do some flybys. Maybe it's time to take a look at Avi Loeb himself. The man has a track record of claiming that interstellar objects are alien machines. The Harvard hypothesis. This is not Loeb's first interstellar rodeo. In 2017, he famously made headlines arguing that Oumuamua, the very first interstellar object ever discovered, might also have been artificial. Avi claimed that Oumuamua was a drone powered by a light sail, a theoretical piece of technology that can use the sun's energy to propel a spaceship. Avi thought Oumuamua was driven by alien tech, and his claims propelled him to heights of conspiracy theory fame usually reserved for the guys on Ancient Aliens. His critics scoffed, as critics will, but Avi Loeb didn't budge. And today, he's still not rattled. He says science isn't about comforting consensus, meaning bowing down to the masses. Science, he says, is about following the evidence, especially when it refuses to behave, and double especially when everyone thinks you're crazy. Well, he's got the crazy part down. And it's true that Atlas is not behaving. It's glowing in the wrong place, it's too bright for its distance, and it's taking a suspiciously scenic route through the solar system like it's casing the joint. Could we really have an alien probe on our hands? Or is this object just a chunk of weird ice? Coincidence or contact? Let's say for a moment that Avi Loeb is right. Let's say 3i Atlas is a high-speed reconnaissance probe, scanning our planets, taking notes, and maybe even dropping off tiny drones like cosmic dandelion seeds that will infiltrate our world and be dismissed as weather balloons. If it's true, then what? What does humanity do next? Loeb said if it turns out to be technological, it would obviously have a big impact on the future of humanity. We have to decide how to respond to that. But how would our fellow Earthlings respond? That's a topic for another day. Let me know what you think would happen in the comments. In the meantime, NASA says that Atlas will reach its closest point to the Sun, about 130 million miles out, on October 30th, 2025. After that, it will slingshot back into deep space and vanish like an untraceable email attachment. After that, nobody knows. It will keep on trekking, and Earth will keep on spinning. Let's just hope it doesn't send an SOS to its handlers and tell them about the intelligent monkeys who got their hands on nukes and aren't afraid to use them. The dark comets of the Milky Way. They don't glow, they don't scream through the sky with glorious burning tails. They drift silently, invisible, but they are moving, getting faster, and no one knows why. Some think they brought water to Earth. Others think they could end it. This is the shocking story of the dark comets that prowl our solar system like invisible assassins. The creepiest things in the Milky Way. All right, friends, forget everything you know about space rocks. Forget about comet trails. Forget about the dusty, pockmarked asteroids that politely mind their own business, floating between Mars and Jupiter. These are boring rocks. Today is about dark comets, the unsettling middle children of the solar system. They aren't icy enough to grow tails, and they aren't rocky enough to stay still. They don't shine, they don't sparkle. Instead, they sneak. They are so dark that scientists can barely see them. Plus, they move in ways that, quite frankly, they shouldn't. These objects are accelerating through space as if being nudged by invisible thrusters, but without any visible signs of gas, ice, or dust being expelled. They're the kind of space oddities that keep astronomers up at night, standing before their window with their hands folded behind their back. And now, thanks to an accidental rendezvous from a Japanese spacecraft, we might finally get some much-needed answers. A phantom push from nowhere. The whole weird saga began in 2016. Astronomers were tracking what looked like a run-of-the-mill asteroid, your standard space rock doing laps around the sun like millions of others. But then, it twitched. Well, technically, it accelerated ever so slightly, but it looked like a twitch. The asteroid moved a fraction in a direction that gravity alone couldn't explain. Normally, that kind of behavior comes from a comet venting gas as it nears the sun. It's like nature's version of a steam-powered jetpack. But this thing had no tail and no visible ice, sort of like our friend 3i Atlas. It was just drifting off course like it had somewhere to be without any explanation to how. 1 year later, a similar misfit made headlines worldwide. I already told you about the interstellar visitor Oumuamua, the cigar-shaped anomaly with commitment issues. It too accelerated with no visible explanation. Skipping that saga, let's go straight to 2023, when Michigan State University astronomer Darryl Seligman dropped a bombshell. He and his team identified 6 more of these tailless, quiet, yet slightly hyperactive space rocks, all within our own solar system. These would become known as dark comets. The acceleration that nobody ordered, these mystery objects range from about 13 feet to over 100 feet wide. And though their accelerations are laughably small, a mere nanometer per second, over time, that adds up. It adds up to hundreds of miles of orbital drift after just a few years. And remember that some space objects have been floating around since the dawn of time. By December 2024, the count of known dark comets hit 14. Each one was orbiting the sun like a standard asteroid until it started drifting like a ghost ship caught in a breeze that no one else can feel. And scientists still have no idea why. They're too quiet to be traditional comets and too mobile to be ordinary asteroids. They ignore every textbook rule. They can't be categorized. They are openly defying every comforting assumption that scientists had about space rocks. Let me give you an example. Historically, space rocks are sorted like laundry. You have asteroids that are dry and rocky, and you have comets that are icy and boast long, dramatic tails like space peacocks. But dark comets crash that system like a rogue sock that doesn't match any other socks in the dryer. According to Michelle Bannister at the University of Canterbury, this whole thing is part of a broader shift in how astronomers think, meaning that scientists might not know quite as much about the intricacies of space and its floating shrapnel as we previously thought. Accidental hero. And now for the accidental savior of this space mystery. It's called Hayabusa 2, and it's a plucky Japanese spacecraft that just so happened to end up on a collision course with one of these freaky dark comets. Originally, Hayabusa 2 had one job. It was to visit the asteroid Ryugu, scoop up some dirt, and bring it back to Earth. It was a simple retrieval mission, which it pulled off flawlessly in 2020. But with fuel to spare, Japan's space agency JAXA sent it off on an extended mission to a small spinning asteroid called 1998 KY26. At the time, nobody knew that KY26 was a dark comet, but when astronomer Darryl Seligman started compiling his team's list of dark comets, KY26 was on it. So the Japanese set out to meet a dark comet without even realizing it. They're on their way there as we speak. KY26 is just 98 feet across, rotating once every 10 minutes, which is surprisingly fast by asteroid standards. It also has that same creepy habit of accelerating for no obvious reason. Now, Hayabusa 2 is set to reach KY26 in 2031, where it will orbit from a few miles up, snap photos, sniff for sublimating ice, and maybe, if conditions allow, land on the thing. That will be really cool and a huge step toward understanding dark comets. If Hayabusa 2 can land, it will be able to fire a tiny bullet into the asteroid's surface and analyze the debris. And that's just how space scientists party. And guess what? Scientists have a hunch that these dark comets might be responsible for delivering water to planet Earth, like intergalactic Red Cross workers throwing globs of water at a thirsty world. The water mystery. There is a long-standing theory that our planet's oceans came from impacts from comets and asteroids slamming into early Earth, inadvertently dropping off fresh ice. Yes, it would have taken a lot, like a Gatling gun firing comets at Earth non-stop for a whole year, maybe for 1,000,000 years. But eventually, the theory states that enough comets hit the Earth, their ice melted, and our oceans filled up. Boom! Habitable water world, all thanks to being bombarded by space missiles. However, there's a problem. The chemistry of most comets doesn't match the water in our oceans, so scientists aren't sure this theory even holds any water. Get it? Cold water. Luckily, dark comets could be the secret missing link to explain how water made it to Earth. If their asteroid-like bodies are hiding ice beneath their crusts, they could be the original delivery boys who dropped off our countless gallons of H2O. And one more little bit of information before moving on. These dark comets might destroy Earth, like a grenade in a watermelon. Not to scare everyone, but, you know. Astrophysicist Astor Taylor, working with Seligman's team, warned that an object could appear harmless in our telescopes. But then, a mystery push might make it twitch in our direction. A dark comet could then move onto a collision course with Earth, and nobody would be the wiser. In fact, one of them, a potential dark comet named 2003 RM, nearly 1,000 feet wide, is uncomfortably close to Earth's neighborhood. It's not about to crash into us, but it is nearby and it's acting weird. It's like when you see someone sketchy coming down the middle of the street and just pray they don't shamble onto your side of the sidewalk. So yeah, maybe let's keep an eye on 2003 RM, just in case. Keep watching because the fun isn't over yet. The interstellar invasion that no one noticed. 1,000,000 Statue of Liberty-sized space boulders may already be in our cosmic backyard, and they are not from around these parts. There is an invasion underway, and NASA is clueless. Far beyond the orbit of Neptune, past the ice giants, the Kuiper Belt, and even Pluto's lonely outposts, there is a place so remote and so dark, it makes Antarctica look like Times Square. This quiet and dark place is known as the Oort cloud. It's a frigid, spherical shell of icy debris enveloping the solar system like the crust on a galactic meat pie. It's pretty much wrapped around our solar system like a belt of space rocks, some of which might be interstellar travelers, just like Oumuamua and Atlas. Because according to a recent study, the Oort cloud may be harboring over 1,000,000 massive alien objects, each one larger than Lady Liberty herself, and each one from an alien solar system. 1,000,000 uninvited guests casually chilling in our backyard, and they didn't even bother to knock. How does that make you feel? Where did they come from? To find their origin, you need to look 4 light years away, across the abyss of space to our closest stellar neighbor, the Alpha Centauri system. This system has 3 stars, unlike our sad 1-star system. They've got 2 sun-like stars named Alpha Centauri A and B. Then there's their weird little sidekick, Proxima Centauri. Proxima Centauri is a red dwarf that orbits the 2 other stars like the moody adult sun who still lives in the basement. Proxima Centauri also hosts a planet, which has the rather uninspired name of Proxima Centauri B. A and B? What about planet Katrina, for example? Planet Proxima Centauri B also happens to be the nearest, possibly habitable planet to Earth. So that's kind of a big deal. But enough of that. Let's get back to the rogue space rocks because things are about to get juicy. According to simulations run by researchers, Alpha Centauri has been hurling debris at the Milky Way for 100 million years. Imagine an angry neighbor launching yard gnomes over the fence every few centuries. Except the gnomes are skyscraper-sized chunks of interstellar rock. These objects, once ejected, eventually get caught in the sun's gravity like bugs in a porch light. They don't just pass through like our 3 confirmed interstellar visitors. They find a nice little cul-de-sac in the Oort cloud and settle into their new neighborhood. So no, these rocks won't be rising up against Earth anytime soon. Why didn't scientists find them? Over 1 million potential interstellar objects in the Oort cloud, but scientists have never actually seen one. Why not? The simple answer is that they're too far away, too cold, and too dark. No one has come up with technology advanced enough to spot these things yet. The Oort cloud is so distant that sunlight is barely a suggestion, not an actual source of illumination. It's about 100,000 times farther from the sun than Earth is. Spotting a dark object the size of a skyscraper in that blackness is like trying to find a peppercorn in a coal mine. They're practically invisible because they don't reflect enough light, and they are spread out over an almost unfathomable volume of space. Needle in a haystack? Meet your match. But wait a sec. The study also modeled some tinier stuff. Scientists were curious about the interstellar dust particles from Alpha Centauri, and these, unlike their Statue of Liberty-sized cousins, apparently do reach us. In fact, scientists found that about 10 of them hit Earth every single year, burning up in our atmosphere as harmless shooting stars. You may have seen one yourself without even knowing it. Our neighboring star system is literally hurling space dust at us, and it vaporizes in our skies, and is seen as a falling star. And these particles are microscopic, but they appear as huge, burning, glorious falling stars. Amazing, right? Some of these microscopic travelers were even picked up by spacecraft, including data from NASA's Cassini mission, which detected such particles drifting through the solar system before the probe dove into Saturn's atmosphere in a blaze of scientific glory. When worlds collide. Ever wondered what happens when worlds collide? Someone called Powerman 5000 because the Alpha Centauri system is currently heading our way. And while worlds probably won't literally collide, our neighboring galaxy will get very close to us in about 28,000 years. So don't bother marking it on your calendar. I know that sounds far off, and it is to us, but in galactic terms, it's basically next Tuesday. And when it does swing by Earth, the recent simulations predict a massive uptick in interstellar junk flooding into our solar system. When Alpha Centauri does its little drive-by, it's going to be like a cosmic garage sale where everything must go, and all the neighbors' junk ends up in our yard. In simpler terms, it will bombard our galaxy with space debris, and some of them could sail into Earth. Hopefully, in the next 28,000 years, humanity comes up with a planetary defense system that works. Of course, assuming that humans are still around in 28,000 years. Do you think we will be? The comet that ghosted Earth. In September 2023, a cosmic guest swung by our neighborhood and almost nobody noticed. Not because it wasn't beautiful or rare or worth staying up for, but because Comet Nishimura's big mistake was showing up late to the cosmic party and then hiding behind the sun. How are we supposed to see you if you're on the other side of our actual light source? Come on! This icy traveler skimmed past Earth at a mere 77 million miles away, practically brushing our cosmic driveway by astronomical standards. But unless you had an alarm set for way too early a clock and a telescope pointed just above the horizon, it was easy to miss. Which is a shame, because Nishimura wasn't just any comet. It was the kind of celestial body that shows up once every 4 centuries and then vanishes again, like it has better places to be. The guy who found it. Credit for the discovery goes to Hideo Nishimura, an amateur astronomer from Kakegawa City, Japan. And when I say amateur, I mean that in the most humbling way possible. In an era where multi-million-dollar automated telescopes sweep the skies every night, Nishimura bagged this comet with his personal setup. No government agency, no massive observatory, just one guy and a scope. And amazingly, this was his 3rd comet discovery. Just how many nights does Nishimura spend alone with his telescope? And how does he find these things? The impossible timing problem. So why was this comet so hard to spot? Nishimura was a master of hide and seek, visible only in the pre-dawn sky. To see it, you had to set your alarm for way too early and catch it lurking low over the eastern horizon before sunrise. By mid-September, it tried switching to early evening visibility, but that wasn't much better. From most places, it hugged the western horizon right after sunset, still dangerously close to the sun's glare. It was almost as if the comet was hiding on purpose. Astronomers pegged its brightness around magnitude 4.0, which is technically bright enough to see with the naked eye. However, you would need perfect timing, a clear sky, and maybe the eyesight of a medieval falconer to actually spot it. Peter Brown, a professor at Western University in Canada, said it wasn't as spectacular as Comet Neowise was in 2020. He compared Nishimura to a faint smudge, while Comet Neowise was like a glowing space sword. The high-stakes sun dive. On September 17, 2023, Nishimura made its closest approach to the Sun, a heart-stopping 21 million miles inside Mercury's orbit. This is a dangerous maneuver for any comet. Sometimes the heat and gravitational stress tear them apart like cheap taffy. Sometimes they survive and swing back for another round centuries later. In Nishimura's case, astronomers didn't know which way it would go. Survival meant we would see it again in about 400 years. Destruction meant it was a one-time wonder. I'm happy to say that Nishimura survived its superheated slingshot around the Sun, and now that faint green smudge is already 200 million miles away, still sailing through space like it never even stopped by. But it did stop by, and it will stop again. You won't see it, your kids won't see it, but your great descendants might, because Comet Nishimura will be making a return journey to Earth in approximately 430 years. So, unless you're Count Dracula or the vampire Lestat, I hope you caught a glimpse of it in 2023.
Does Earth have a twin?
There might be an exact replica of Earth orbiting the Sun in the exact same pattern that we are, only they are on the opposite side of the Sun. That means we can't see them because the Sun is always between us. The solar system might feel like a cosmic billiard table waiting for disaster, but honestly, it's impressively stable. According to simulations, there's only about a 1% chance that any of our 8 planets will get ejected from the solar system before the Sun runs out of gas in 5 to 7 billion years. Even within the seemingly stable architecture of our solar system, there is room for intriguing exceptions to the standard orbital rules. Not all star systems are so lucky. In many galaxies, planets get tossed around like hacky sacks. They don't have the stable orbits our planets enjoy. This is important to know because normally, if 2 planets swing too close to one another, bad things happen. One gets ejected from its orbit, they smash into each other, or one gets flung into the star like an unlucky moth into a fireplace. However, scientists speculate that under the right conditions, 2 planets could end up sharing an orbit peacefully, and this might be the case for Earth and Earth's secret twin. Did you know Earth already has a sort of companion? Asteroid 3753 has been doing a weird orbital dance with us for hundreds of years and will keep doing it for hundreds more. It's not quite a twin Earth, but it is proof that shared orbits can happen. The asteroid is like our little sidekick. There's also the idea of binary planets, 2 worlds orbiting each other while together orbiting a star. If 2 planets are similar in size and mass, they could form a true binary setup. This kind of thing has been seen with Saturn's moons Janus and Epimetheus. Every few years, the inner moon catches up, gravitationally nudges the outer moon, and they swap places. They share the same orbit, but swap spots like they're two-stepping at the rodeo. This kind of dynamic could also happen with planets. But is it happening with ours? Scientists say no freaking way. They say that if we had a twin planet, astronomers would have identified its gravitational pull. There's no evidence of a second planet circling around the Sun with us. In fact, no one has ever found such a phenomenon. Despite thousands of exoplanet discoveries, scientists haven't confirmed a binary planet or orbit-swapping planets yet. But simulations say they should exist. Maybe there is a planet following our orbit, maybe not. We can at least speculate over what such a planet might be like. Would it have life similar to us or the same animals as us? Could we give up trying to colonize Mars and move to Earth 2.0? Let me know what you think in the comments. Alien life revealed. Finally. 120 light years from us, a planet called K2-18b might be brewing something that changes everything. Scientists using NASA's $10 billion James Webb Space Telescope have once again detected the chemical fingerprints of dimethyl sulfide, or DMS for short. It's a gas that here on Earth is made almost exclusively by living creatures, mostly by marine microbes. tiny organisms that basically run the food chain. The first whiff of this potential biosignature came in 2023, sending ripples of excitement through the scientific community. Because if DMS is out there floating around in the atmosphere of a world 9 times the size of Earth, something alive is presumably making it. Maybe the DMS is being made by marine microbes on the supersized Earth, or maybe it's being made by something you can't even imagine. Now, a new study led by Professor Madhusudan at Cambridge University has confirmed the signal using James Webb's mid-infrared instrument, a totally different set of eyes than before, seeing different wavelengths of light. And guess what? The ghost of DMS is still there, strong and clear. This is now the strongest evidence ever discovered of alien life on a distant exoplanet. You've probably even seen the story making the rounds in mainstream news because it's a big deal. A planet with a hydrogen-rich atmosphere wrapped around a massive, endless ocean and life thriving. That's what K2-18b seems to be. I'm going to just call this planet Katie from now on. The sulfur-based gases detected could mean this alien sea is teeming with life, or something much more unsettling. The numbers are staggering. Here on Earth, DMS floats around at less than 1 part per billion. On Katie, it's over 10 parts per million. That's not a trace. That is a chemical scream across the cosmic void. Just what kind of life forms are outputting all of this DMS? Sadly, scientists have no way to investigate up close. They don't have telescopes that can see into another planet's ocean quite yet, which leaves us squinting across the galaxy, wondering whether we are alone or not. Confirmation might take years, but if Katie truly hosts alien life, then humanity just heard the first whisper of something colossal. What sorts of life forms do you think will be found on this exoplanet? The planet of doom. About 140 light-years away in the Pegasus constellation, a planet is having the absolute worst time. BD054868AB, I know its name is really catchy, is whipping around its star every 30.5 hours. It is so close that it is getting slow roasted into oblivion. This is not a place you want to live. Every orbit, the planet loses a Mount Everest worth of material. It's being scorched at nearly 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, turning its surface into molten rock and vapor that trails behind it like a comet made of pure lava. Mark Hahn from MIT's Kavli Institute called the tail gargantuan, stretching a ridiculous 5.5 million miles, or about half the distance around its star. If you could see it, it would look like the planet was dragging a fiery scarf across the cosmos. According to the research team, BD blah 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 is in its death spiral and could be fully disintegrated in, let me check, about 1 to 2 million years. You'd think losing Mount Everest every day would erase a planet way faster, but nope. 2 million years to doomsday. Avi Sporer from MIT's Test Science Office said we got lucky catching it on its last breath. Avi is right, but it's weird thinking of a planet taking its last breath. That's kind of sad, no? Only 3 other disintegrating planets have been spotted out of the 6,000 plus known exoplanets, and none are disintegrating as dramatically as this one. BD054868Ab's death parade is the most catastrophic yet. NASA's Transiting Exoplanet Survey satellite first spotted the doomed world by noticing strange dips in starlight. Unlike normal planet transits, this dip lingered and shifted with every orbit. The planet is shedding vaporized minerals. Hahn explained that at these temperatures, minerals roasted off the planet's surface can stick around just long enough to create the glowing tail that's got everyone talking. What I want to know is why the planet is disintegrating in the first place. Could this happen to Earth? It was a betrayal of gravity. Poor planet BD Plus is tiny, somewhere between the size of Mercury and the Moon. It barely has enough gravity to hang on to itself. As it loses mass, its gravity weakens even more, making it easier to lose more material. Think about a snowball. When you throw it, you're throwing a bunch of snow compacted into a ball. All of that snow stays together in one clump thanks to gravity. Now, what happens when you throw a snowball in space? Without gravity, it would break apart. That is more or less what is happening with this tiny planet. Without enough gravity, its very matter is flaking off and burning in the heat of its roaring sun. It probably won't happen to Earth, but let's still be thankful we're not all on fire right now. And now for a quick break because it's shoutout time! I want to give a big thank you to Darthy Moon and Parallel U for supporting this channel. We wouldn't be here without you guys. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already to join the Origins Explained family. The secret Mars colony. Humans have been on Mars for more than 50 years and nobody will admit it. For decades, Mars has been a big dream for space lovers. It's the rusty red dot that humans just can't wait to colonize. But according to a growing group of whistleblowers and former officials, humans are already there. Corey Good is a self-described insider of the so-called secret space program, which has been sending astronauts to Mars since at least the 1970s. Good claims that the groundwork was laid in the 1930s by none other than the Germans. Then, by the 1980s, the US had a full-fledged space fleet under a program called Solar Warden, building underground bases on Mars and beyond. Why underground? So they avoid the radiation of the sun and your backyard telescope. It sounds outrageous, I agree, but Good isn't the only one raising eyebrows. William Tompkins, a former U.S. Navy insider, backed up parts of Good's claims. He stated that German scientists were dabbling with space tech as early as the 20th century. Tompkins also said he worked in highly classified aerospace think tanks that helped turn science fiction into classified reality. And then there's Jackie, a former NASA contractor who told Coast to Coast AM that she witnessed two human-like figures suited up in slim, non-bulky spacesuits, walking on Mars during the Viking mission. According to Jackie, which is definitely not her real name, this was decades ago. If that's not enough, a former Marine known only as Captain K claimed he spent years stationed on Mars. He was tasked with protecting human colonies from indigenous Martian life. After his tour of duty on the Red Planet, he said he served aboard a giant space carrier. This is nuts. These whistleblowers are making it out like the US government has already kicked off Starfleet and forgot to tell the rest of us. It's not just rogue whistleblowers fueling these claims either. Former Senator Daniel K. Inouye warned about a shadowy government within the Air Force and the Navy with the ability to pursue its own ideas, free from all checks and balances, and free from the law itself. When you connect these statements to claims from Good, Tompkins, Jackie, and Captain K, the idea of humans running covert ops on Mars doesn't seem quite as far-fetched. No hard proof has been dragged into public view yet, no leaked selfies from a Martian Starbucks, but with so many testimonies, so many whispers, and even official warnings about secret government programs, it's hard not to get on board the Conspiracy Express. Now it's your turn. Is there already a colony on Mars, or is this a bunch of nonsense? The biggest boom ever. I hope you like explosions because you won't find a bigger one than this. Out in the vastness of the universe, a kaboom just went off that could explain where all the riches of our world come from. It's even weirder than it sounds. In the comics, gamma rays turned the Hulk green. In reality, gamma ray bursts are the universe's biggest, baddest explosions. They are so powerful that the light from their explosions might help produce gold. Gold! Glorious, shiny, yellow gold. Who knew that something so beautiful could have such a violent origin story? A new study suggests that the immense light from these bursts could help forge heavy elements from the outer shells of dying stars. It's a big deal because until now, scientists thought that heavy elements only formed in places already packed with free neutrons, like during neutron-star collisions. The problem is that free neutrons are unstable, and without a fresh supply, they decay in about 15 minutes. The study was headed by Matthew Mumpower from the Los Alamos National Laboratory. Matthew learned that when a massive star runs out of fuel, its core collapses into a black hole. If that black hole spins fast enough, it launches a powerful blast of high-energy photons, aka light particles. Think of it like a cosmic blender, but way, way more intense. The blast crashes into the outer layers of the dying star, forming a blaze-hot cocoon of material. Inside that cocoon, the blast photons can smash into atomic nuclei, quickly turning protons into neutrons. They can also shatter entire nuclei, freeing even more neutrons. And where there are neutrons, heavy elements can form. If this science talk is giving you a headache, bear with me. What it all means is that a collapsing star forms a black hole, which then unleashes such an intense blast of photon energy it creates heavy minerals from the ruins of the star. Gold is one of these minerals. This theory could clear up some cosmic mysteries. For example, Earth's deep-sea sediments contain radioactive isotopes like iron-60 and plutonium-244, substances that neutron star mergers can't easily explain. Gamma-ray bursts from dying stars could be the missing link. The real lesson here is that the gold you're wearing probably started in one of the most violent, spectacular explosions the universe has ever seen. Then humans dug it out of the earth, polished it, and sold it to you for your soul. So many super Earths. Surprise, everyone! It looks like the universe might be packed with way more super Earths than anyone expected. Millions of big, juicy planets waiting to be taken over by spacefaring human colonists. Astronomers recently spotted a small exoplanet orbiting far from its host star. This little world has a planet-to-star mass ratio about double that of Earth to the Sun, and its orbit is out near where Saturn would be in our solar system. Jennifer Yee of the Center for Astrophysics said the abundance of super-Earths at such a far distance from their host star was a big surprise. Because before now, most known super-Earths were found hugging their stars closely, at about the same distance from Earth to the Sun. By the way, a super-Earth planet is typically 10 times Earth's mass, but still smaller than a gas giant. I can't even imagine living on a planet 10 times bigger than this one. Think of the lost cities and uncontacted tribes. Oh man, and all the crazy undiscovered ocean creatures. This new discovery shows super-Earths can hang out near their star and far away from their star. It's going to reshape the way astronomers view the habitable zone. Those Goldilocks regions where conditions could allow liquid water and maybe life. While Jupiter and Saturn are outside our solar system's habitable zone, a super-Earth orbiting farther out around a hotter star might still find itself in the cosmic sweet spot. In plain simple English, this discovery means the habitable zone could be different from one solar system to the next. Not all planets need to be the third rock from the sun to support life. More super-Earths on wider orbits means more potential places where life could exist. Scientists really needed this discovery to remind them, and us, that the universe doesn't necessarily follow Earth's blueprint. Heck, maybe there are planets where it's as cold as Antarctica, and there are creatures that grow as big as elephants who consume pure radiation. Who's to say there isn't a planet where plants grow even without photosynthesis, using some poisonous gas for sustenance? The discovery of this super-Earth was made using the Korea Microlensing Telescope Network, with telescopes stationed in Chile, South Africa, and Australia to monitor the sky 24/7. The Korea Microlensing Telescope Network uses a trick predicted by Einstein's general relativity called gravitational microlensing. This means when a massive object like a star or a planet passes between Earth and a background light source, it warps and magnifies the light, creating a brief, telltale brightening. If a planet is part of the lensing system, it leaves a tiny but detectable signature. Anyway, that's the science behind the find in a nutshell. Going forward, the team plans to keep digging through the network's growing treasure trove of data, looking for more distant super-Earths. They are also working on improving their data analysis to catch even fainter planetary signals. How would you like to live on a super-Earth? A planet so big that humans couldn't possibly destroy it, right? Right? The second moon. You may have seen the headlines announcing Earth has a new mini-moon and thought, finally, some good news. Who doesn't want another moon to light up their night? Well, pump the brakes. The so-called mini-moon is nothing but an asteroid the size of a school bus, officially named 2024 PT5. It isn't an extra moon at all. That's sad, I know. It's a space rock that swung by for a minute to say hi. You can say hi back and wave all you want, but this piece of space debris is about 5 times farther from Earth than a real moon. You also can't see it because it's too tiny to spot without research-grade telescopes. Unless you have NASA's gear sitting in your backyard, don't bother looking. Even calling it a mini-moon is a bit of a stretch, said Thomas Statler, lead scientist for solar system small bodies at NASA. For something to count as a true second moon, it has to be gravitationally bound to both Earth and the moon, meaning it would have to orbit with some commitment, not just crash on the couch for a few months. It's a bit of a bummer we don't have a second moon because it seems like everyone else does. Around the solar system, moons are practically handing out party favors. Saturn's got a ridiculous 146 moons. Jupiter's hoarding 95. Even Pluto, downgraded from planet status and humiliated, still has 5 moons. And then there's Earth with 1 measly moon. Scientists actually track about 1,000 objects a year that pass within 10 lunar distances of Earth. Most are tiny, quick visitors. 2024 PT5 sticks out only because it's slightly bigger and will be hanging around a bit longer, but it's not permanently moving in as a moon. Let's pretend for a second that a real second moon showed up and decided to stay. What would happen if the moon became Moon 1? First off, a second moon would mean double the tidal drama. Our current moon already yanks on Earth's oceans hard enough to cause tides. A second moon could either make tides way stronger, flooding coastlines around the world, or, if it was positioned just right, the 2 moons might play tug-of-war, making tides weirder but less extreme in some places. Either way, the tides would change big time. Marine life would also freak out. A lot of sea creatures time their mating seasons with the moon's pull and light cycles. 2 moons could turn nature's calendar completely upside down. But do you think it would be worth it? Just imagine gazing up at the sky and seeing 2 moons glowing overhead. Romantic, right? Like you just stepped into a fantasy. Some might think that's worth a little tidal confusion. In the end, size doesn't really matter for moon status. It's all about the relationship. Is the object gravitationally bound to its planet and making regular orbits? Then it's a moon. If it's just drifting nearby for a bit before zipping off, sorry, tourist, not a moon. Mercury is full of diamonds. Mercury, that tiny, crispy nugget of a planet nobody invites to dinner parties, just dropped a cosmic bombshell. Prepare to be blinged out to the max because scientists think it might be hiding a diamond layer. Underneath the surface of Mercury could be a layer of pure diamond 11 miles thick. That is 2 Mount Everest stacked on top of each other, made out of pure, shining, valuable diamonds. Anyone in the market for an engagement ring might want to hop on over to our pal Mercury for a diamond discount. Mercury has always been the weird cousin of the planets. It spins 3 times on its axis for every 2 laps around the sun, and it cooks hotter than an Arizona parking lot in July, over 800 degrees Fahrenheit at high noon. Mercury is not a place humans are ever going to colonize. Because of its inhospitable climate, scientists haven't paid as much attention to Mercury as they have to planets like Mars. But now, thanks to NASA's Messenger spacecraft, they have learned that Mercury isn't just a burnt marshmallow. For one, it's got graphite splattered across its surface. A long time ago, Mercury had a magma ocean rich in carbon. As it cooled, lighter carbon floated up to make the surface dark and gritty, while heavier materials sank to the bottom. Curious about all this graphite, Dr. Yan-Hao Lin and his team at the Center for High Pressure Science and Technology Advanced Research, that was a mouthful, put a test together. These guys squeezed the heck out of some synthetic rocks with 7 GPa pressure. That is 7 times what you'd feel chilling at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Then they heated the rocks up to nearly 3,600 degrees Fahrenheit. Why did they do it? To recreate Mercury's core mantle boundary conditions and see if graphite could be transformed into diamonds. And it worked like some space-age alchemy. Dr. Lin explained that under about 5.575 GPa and with a sulfur boost of 11%, the carbon on Mercury flips its personality like a bad reality show contestant and crystallizes into a diamond. And this is exactly why Mercury has an 11-mile thick, sparkly shell around its core. We need to get some space miners to Mercury ASAP. It's going to be a diamond bonanza. Seriously, though, Mercury is looking way cooler than anyone ever thought. Did you know this tiny planet, barely the size of a Costco parking lot, has an oddly strong magnetic field? Turns out that's because its diamond layer acts like a thermal superhighway, helping heat escape from a molten core way faster than the rocky layers alone could manage. This whole heat shuffle keeps Mercury's dynamo running, which gives it a crazy strong magnetic field. If only we could transfer its magnetic field to Mars, which is in desperate need of one. Meanwhile, Earth, Mars, and Venus went and lost most of their carbon, which is what diamonds are made out of. That's why diamonds are worth so much money, because they're hard to find on Earth. It's also why scientists can now grow diamonds in a lab, because they really are just pure crystalline carbon. Mercury, on the other hand, hoarded its carbon like a cosmic dragon, first forming a graphite crust and then quietly stashing away diamonds in the basement like your great-grandfather hoarding cans of beans. Lynn and team think these processes might also happen on similar-sized planets, like the billions of exoplanets out there in the universe, which means some worlds that look dead and boring might secretly have thick mantles of precious metals. But when will space miner become a real profession? It's bound to happen, right? Hold your pickaxes. No spacecraft has ever been to Mercury, and no one has actually seen inside its crust. Right now, all the diamond drama is based on lab experiments and the information from NASA's Messenger. We are on the way to Mercury, though. While Americans are focused on going back to the boring old moon, a joint European-Japanese mission called Bepi Colombo is cruising toward Mercury like it's late for a brunch reservation. When Bepi Colombo slips into orbit in 2030, it will refine gravity maps and snoop for magnetic field twists that might reveal more about this mysterious diamond shell. It'll be many more years, though, before any mining is done. At the rate humanity is going, I'm going to have lots of gray hair before this happens. The super flare apocalypse. The sun is our friend in the sky. It gives us warmth, lends our plants energy, makes us crispy in the summer, and we're left looking longingly for it in the misty winter. So then why is the sun out to destroy us? In 1859, the Earth got a brutal wake-up call when a monster solar flare, known today as the Carrington event, slammed our planet so hard that telegraph wires burst into flames. People saw auroras dancing across the skies as far south as Cuba and Hawaii, like the end of days wearing a light show. It was a monster of a solar flare. To be able to see the aurora in Hawaii is nuts. Scientists believe that if a flare even half that strong hit now, it wouldn't just fry some wires. Oh no, it would destroy everything. Satellites would fall from space. Electrical grids would collapse in every country in the world. The globe would fall into chaos in an instant. Imagine waking up to a world that suddenly has no power and no technology. Hospitals shut down. No elevators, traffic lights, refrigerators, no bank accounts, no social media. Think about it. If you didn't have power right now for days, how long would you last? There was a recent power outage in Spain, Portugal, and southern France that lasted for just a day, and it almost turned into chaos. I don't want to frighten anyone, but this is a reality that humanity cannot escape. There is an incoming global tech apocalypse, but pinpointing when it's coming is tough. How long before we wake up in the Stone Age? Astronomers at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics studied 84 sun-like stars and caught 29 supersized flares over just 4 years. They were able to extrapolate a rough timeline for how frequently sun-like stars emit dangerous solar flares. The verdict is in. A superflare could hit Earth once every 250 to 480 years, or on average every 350 years. And the last one to smack into us was 160 years ago, when people still talked in Morse code. These aren't your average flares. The super flares the Harvard team observed were 150 times more powerful than the usual solar tantrum that hits Earth. A super flare is 10 times stronger than the 1989 solar flare that blacked out the entire Canadian province of Quebec. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that earlier. All of Quebec lost its power when they got punched in the face by the sun, and that was only 30 years ago. A super flare is at the very least 10 times stronger and will most likely affect the whole planet. I hope you're not on vacation in Timbuktu when it happens, because planes will be a thing of the past. Right now, our star has been partying hard. Astronomers know it's entered its solar maximum, the chaotic peak of its 11-year solar cycle. Our sun, right now, as you watch this video, is at its max power level. At any moment, it could unleash a blast of heat doom that takes out the whole grid. But there's no way of anticipating it. Data now suggests the solar maximum may have passed between August and November 2024, which means we could already be sliding into the downward slope or about to be sucker punched again by a second peak. The sun sometimes throws a bonus tantrum just when scientists think it's calmed down. It really is nothing but a waiting game. Just know that the apocalypse could happen at any second. The ocean on Mimas. Deep beneath the shattered, frozen crust of Saturn's moon Mimas, a world so scarred and dead-looking it's nicknamed the Death Star, something is stirring. A hidden sea, dark and silent, locked away for millions of years. A discovery so unexpected it could shatter our assumptions about where life can hide and how easily scientists can miss it. Astronomers just uncovered evidence that this battered ice ball, written off as lifeless rubble, is hiding a vast global ocean beneath 15 miles of solid ice. To put that into perspective, Antarctica is only hiding under about a mile of ice. That's how thick Mimas' icy crust is. Valerie Laney of the Paris Observatory, who led this study published in Nature, sums it up bluntly saying, "It's quite a surprise." Yeah, I'd say it is. Mimas looked so dead, so unremarkable that few scientists even bothered to dream it could harbor an ocean. But beneath the cratered wasteland lies a body of liquid water large enough to fill half the moon's volume. And the water is heated from within by Saturn's tidal forces, a secret warmth trapped in a frozen shell. This discovery didn't come easy. For 13 years, Laney's team pored over thousands of images from NASA's Cassini spacecraft, watching Mimas wobble and spin just slightly off course. The moon's unusual motion couldn't be explained by solid rock. It seemed as if an ocean was sloshing under the ice, quietly influencing its every move. But here's the chilling truth. Unlike Europa or Enceladus, moons where water geysers roar into space, offering glimpses of their hidden seas, Mimas gave away nothing. No plumes, no vapor. If life exists there, it is buried beneath solid ice, silent, untouchable, possibly thriving in isolation. The discovery of Mimas' ocean rips open the door to terrifying possibilities. It warns us that life doesn't need a lush planet or an obvious ocean to thrive. Life can almost certainly endure in the dark, out of sight, beyond reach. I just wish scientists would hurry up and prove it. Thanks for watching. What's the coolest thing you've ever seen in the night sky? Let me know your discoveries in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out. See you in the next one. Bye!